Welcome back to another episode of Around the Mage Table. This is episode 49 of the podcast for the rest of us. I am joined by Lithian. How you doing today?
Oh, all right. Doing good.
Yeah. Scrap.
Good as always.
We've been gone for a little while. Ayaski, how you doing?
Pretty good.
Yeah. How's the mythic raid going?
Good. We killed one armed bandit, I think, like 2 weeks ago, and we're got Mugsy down to 25% last week, I want to say. So hopefully kill him this weekend.
Okay.
But the last 20% is supposed to be pretty tough, so we'll see.
I can't remember now if what's his name? Gallywix is supposed to be harder or easier than Mugsy. What have you been hearing?
Originally it was easier, but I think they've kind of nerfed it all, and after the turbo boost, it's not. I think it's just kind of a wash at this point. They're both pretty. Mugsy I think has more you can mess up, but because with the mines people can run into them, but I imagine they're both probably about the same difficulty now.
Okay, fair enough. Well, we got a lot to talk about, and it's already getting late for us, so we're gonna jump straight into it. You guys okay with that?
Yeah,
Hell
please.
Yeah.
Cool. I want to start by talking about Horrific Visions. Okay, so Horrific Visions came out for us 2 weeks ago, and I've been hearing a lot of split decision on whether you enjoyed it or not. I'll start with you, Lithium, because I feel like you and Haywire, as an example, our friend, have not really engaged with this material. However, right before we came in here, we did attempt an 8 mask. It went poorly, but that's also because we were rushing through it. We did complete a 3 mask. What are your thoughts on Horrific Visions?
I mean, I just do it for the enchant. Once I have the the extra power, I'm done. I actually got the enchant for my ults and everything too. So yeah, it's fine. It's all right. I've done it before.
Do you think it is, if it's a chore to get your enchant, is it a good chore? Like a chore that you're like, okay, well, I can at least vibe with this?
I thought it was fine. I didn't mind running through it a couple times. I ran through it with my feral and I just demolished everything. And then I did 3 mask a couple times just to get extra coins or whatever the thing is that you get. But yeah, no, it's fine. I don't want to do beyond that because then it gets like kind of challenging. And who wants that?
We'll get to that in a second. We'll get to that part in a second. I ask you, I haven't actually even heard your take on it. What are you thinking of Horrific Visions?
Yeah, I'm having fun with it, or had fun with it, and got my enchant too, like Lithium. That was pretty much the most I planned on doing with it. But I have done it more than that because I was just enjoying it. I kind of got to a point where I was getting a little annoyed where the difficulty I feel like came from, a lot of it comes from them just impairing your movement, and that kind of got frustrating. So I don't know how much more I'm going to really do with it, but it is fun, and I like that there's a lot for everybody in it. If you're someone who wants to collect, there's plenty of reason to go back, and a lot of the stuff too isn't particularly hard to do. So, if you want to just run it over and over again and get everything, it's not, there's not really an issue with that. So that's cool.
All right. Well, speaking of everyone, Scrap, how are you enjoying Horrific Visions?
Annoyed because I was poo-pooing it pretty hard when I started just doing the 1 and 2.
In fairness, you haven't really been playing full stop though.
No, I haven't. And I was just like, oh, this is just some bullshit. I have to do this thing. It's so annoying. Like, especially the 1 and 2 masks were like so easy. It was just like unengaging. But then you were like, no, it's like really good. You're gonna like it. You're gonna love it. I'm like, shut up. So I tried to do some higher masks, and I was like, oh no, I really like it. Like, and hit it really hard.
I think when Frank said he'd get his done before you, that kind of turned something.
Fire. Yeah, that lights the fire in me where I'm like, fuck you. No, it was. I was literally like on a 2 mask. I was like, this sucks. I hate it. He was like, well, I'm gonna get my 8 masks before you, and I was like, fuck you. Like, after I only did it 1 time, like it's so hard.
The funny thing about that,
it's really fun.
Is that when I spoke to you and you're like, fuck you, and you'd only done like a 2 or whatever.
Yeah.
The next time I saw you, which I believe was the following day, you had not only done
I did all of the masks I had.
Like 4 masks, I think it was, right? But
yeah, that's all I had.
Enough mementos that you caught up to how many I had
yeah.
from doing all mine from the previous 2 weeks.
I had it routed like so cleanly. Like I got all the mounts and stuff. I was like, damn, I wish I had gotten the mask from the No, I was like super into it. In fact, I really like this idea of like a solo experience dungeon that is like hard enough to like get you to have to route it out, have to figure out how to handle tricky mechanics like that might not be suited for your class and stuff like that. That I kind of wish there was like one of these like every season, just one, you know, that we could play around with.
There are things. I mean, like, Torghast came out. There's
No,
always
but
something.
I like this that feels kind of like a dungeon. Like there's like a Mythic Plus feeling of time pressure, and it's like although it's kind of switches to resource management as you get different masks and things like that.
Yeah.
I really enjoy that and like having to figure out boss mechanics where I'm like, how do I handle these two kicks that come up quickly? It's like, well, I have to eat one of them, so I'll eat this one, and like plotting things around where I'm like, this might be easier for a different class, but for me, I have to deal with it this way. You know, I find it really engaging and fun, and it's a good difficulty. Like, I definitely struggled really hard to figure out the mage boss last night when I was doing it.
What's different between this and high level delves?
The high level delves aren't hard enough, I feel like, and they're shorter.
They're not hard enough. Okay,
So
Yeah.
that's
that
fair.
was going to be my point. Is
yeah.
that this is what I believe delves should be.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
The delves, I beat like the highest level delve like the second week of the expansion. I was like, okay, great. You can definitely outgear them though. Like it was pretty difficult then.
I mean, you can outgear
like
this
that
too.
difficulty. Wait, can you? Because I'm like max gear and it's still
You
pretty hard.
never max gear.
I
man.
will remind you again, you are probably at least 8 eye levels off of max gear.
Yeah, but what's hard about it is not like how much damage you're doing. Like, yeah, you can burn some stuff and ignore some mechanics, but like you have to know how to move your character. You have to know how to pull and like.
That is true,
so
but it does matter if you're killing a boss 15 seconds faster.
Oh my god, yeah, like the eyeball boss, I literally just like completely nuked it. I was like, I can't deal with the mechanics, so I have to kill it so fast.
Oh, look at the eye.
It's hard.
My favorite thing this season, and don't get me wrong, like there's been a lot of good moments in the season, but my favorite thing this season, even though it was driving me up the wall, was playing with Scrap, trying to do the 8 mask last week and doing it this week as well.
Yeah.
I got so frustrated because there was actually a point, Scrap, where I said to you I could do this on my own, and I thought like for a second you're like, okay, go do it. Like we were about to be.
She got mad. That's her getting mad.
Leave, right?
I feel like you were making it hard for me.
No,
I was like, please.
What?
There were some nights this week when I wasn't even really in Discord with you guys because I was doing something else, but I pulled up Frank's stream just because it was so entertaining to watch you two try to tackle.
God, dude, listening to them yell at each other.
I will take full account of the fact that there were times, and again, I was playing on my tank because I switched once. I was like, there's no reason I should be doing this on my mage. I switched, and of course there were things like I'm avoiding some mechanics, I'm moving around, right? But Scrap would immediately go, oh my god, like I just got sanity because of you. And mind you, it's only 30 sanity. But every time we'd start the revision, Scrap would always be 100 sanity behind, like within a minute.
Well, you noticed it when we were doing it. If you're behind somebody, it's a lot easier to like you're caught in their trail. You know, if you're in front, it's easy. No, but like if somebody's running in front, you're right behind.
We came down to the point where I said I will go on the left side of every tunnel, and you go on the right.
That was better. We did better with that, didn't we?
Didn't, but that's neither here nor there.
A little bit.
To the point where we spent 2 hours each night. And you know, we kept saying we'll do one more. Yeah. And then I was like, no, I'm just gonna do this myself in the morning. I did it myself first run on the morning by myself. Yeah. Have you done your race yet?
Later that night. Yeah, I did it last night.
Okay.
Yeah.
Frank, what do you have that you don't already? What do you still have to get out of there?
No, I just have to do the 8 mask on Orgrimmar and I'll be done.
Yeah, I think I'll get that, like, because I know the Orgrimmar one well from playing it a lot last week, so I think I'll get that one quick. I also feel like the Orgrimmar one is easier.
You guys all the mounts and all the trinkets and all the other stuff. I don't know what you get.
All the ones that I wanted, yeah. Even some that I didn't. Like, so, like, I really like the games that they put into it, that even if they're not hard, like, okay, so for example, we just got you, or not you, because it went to Shawnee,
yeah.
Yeah, I went to Shawnee.
We got the Void horse out of Stormwind. That one's very easy, but like if you're not, unless you're reading Wowhead, which I wouldn't recommend doing, unless you're like, oh, what's this, and then you kind of investigate. It was really fun to just like come across those things and say like, oh, what's this? My favorite one was noticing that the Void wall drops from the elevator in Orgrimmar to go up to the Wyverns.
The Wind Riders,
like I just happened to notice it, and I was like, okay, that's cool. And I walked up to it, and then all of a sudden it was there. Some of them I just like pulled up because I was like, I just want to know how to get this because I saw how cool it looked. Which like for me was the horse. I pulled up that one because I just wanted that one badly. But like the Griffin one, now granted, I don't think you could figure that one out without pulling up a guide, but
Yeah, we fucked it up also.
yeah, well, you did.
I guess so.
But like, yeah, getting all the mounts has been fun. I got a couple toys, which I don't really even care for toys that often, but I was like, well, that was a fun thing to do. That's cool. And then yeah, I don't even think 3 or 4 or 5 masks was it was challenging by no means, but like it was really the 8 mask where I was like, okay, now I'm like really in this, and this is very hard, and honestly felt really fun seeing all these mobs because you have one of the affixes is to get a ton of extra mobs.
Yep.
And then Hogger just comes flying out, or Gammon comes flying out every like 2 minutes.
Well, also, I really enjoyed routing like that. Like, it reminded me of Prideful, where you're trying to route like a certain percentage, where it's like, okay, at a certain percentage, we're going to get this thing, so we need to get at the right spot. So there were times when I'd be like, oh, I can just dip into there and kill, like the first 2 mobs of that, and then go back over here and get Hogger in a safe spot.
Yeah.
Like that was kind of a fun part of it. And you have to route on the fly a little bit, because like I didn't have the perfect route in mind for this yet. Like the one that I got it on, I was actually trying like a new route. I was like, this isn't working. Every time I kill the mage boss, I choke on the eye boss. I was like, I'm do the eye boss first, and I killed it so cleanly, and I was like, oh shit, is this a run? And then I did the whole thing like with full sanity, and my my revive still left. I was like, oh fuck, I should have been going that way the whole time. So that was fun though. And it's not about the rewards. I think like the rewards are fine, but I don't see myself like they kind of match a Shadow Priest vibe, and I ain't never fucking playing that, honestly.
Here's the thing. Look how many rewards that there are out of this event alone.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Versus delves, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Now delves have a lot of customization to their one mount, which is cool. I like that idea.
But what's missing?
Go on.
What?
We're missing the Void Bear form.
Oh yeah, they need to avoid bear form. Then you'd be all over it.
Yeah, I'd be all over it then.
That's true though, Frank, because like Shawnee was talking about how he had completed his Delver's journey already. Yeah, that's a lot. But like, I looked at how much delves you need to do to like do the Delver's journey, and I was like, Jesus Christ, they want you to play this like for like 100 hours.
Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a minute because there's something coming soon that we need to address. But
yeah, but I mean, they want you. But the fact that they want to reward you for engaging with it for 100 hours, I feel like there's not like 100 hours of content, and I might be exaggerating. I don't know how long.
They didn't take 100 hours.
Delves are like you're supposed to gear with those, so I can see why they don't have as many like cosmetic rewards. But at the same time, yeah, what are you supposed to do in delves for 100 hours unless you're just an achievement whore and you're just pounding your way?
But here's the thing, like, I mean, if delves are supposed to be my season progress, right?
Yeah.
And not to say that people who are casual can't be good, right? They can be great players, honestly. But like, if I'm a casual player, let's say all of a sudden I can only play a couple hours every week, and I go through the delves route, I would think that this environment, this system that they have in place for visions, is a far better progression path for me as far as challenge and whatnot than delves were, because delves, while they did get harder, they didn't get harder in a sense of like, oh, I have to figure out the problem. They just got harder because they smacked the living shit out of me, and I can't survive it. Right, their white damage, the melee swings, are way too difficult for as a mage at least, and Brawn is kind of useless, and that's just not like a fun challenge. Whereas this, trying to figure out how do I not accidentally step in my puddles, how do I, make sure I jump whenever the bugs are there because I forgot all about them because I'm trying to deal with 60 mobs or whatever.
Yeah.
Even though they were hitting like trucks.
Definitely a different vibe for sure.
To be fair, there's 2 of these, and these are so much more detailed, more involved, and more time consuming than like any individual delve. But there's like 20 delves. So it's like obviously there's gonna be less production value per experience, compared to these. But I would far prefer, like, I've had a lot of fun this past like week, 2 weeks, and I'm gonna do it a little bit next week to get the 8 of Orgrimmar. Like, I feel like I've put more than the appropriate amount of time into this. I could see enjoying like 2-3 weeks of like, if they just like said, hey, we're bringing back Wailing Caverns, but it's like this, or even something like Tazavesh, where it's like we already have the map. Like, let's just add some shit here. Like, oh, these guys took over Tazavesh, and there's like little missions and stuff. I feel like that wouldn't be that intensive. Like, I mean, if
for
you
me,
kept
it's
these same
quality over
affixes-
quantity. I don't need 12 delves, right?
Yeah.
We don't even have that many dungeons. And like, for example, this patch, they came out with 2 new delves, right? I think those,
Yeah.
if they did 2 delves that were in the vision system, even if as a high-end player, I would get through this content within 2-3 weeks like we are right now with this.
Yeah.
I still believe that, well, I mean, I've already engaged this way more than I've engaged delves, that's for certain. And
Definitely.
I believe that the progression path for a season of a, you know, casual player 2 hours a week or whatever would definitely say, okay, this is like something I'm enjoying, and I'd probably, you know, again, yearn to come back and try again, as opposed to with a delve. Not really.
I kind of don't agree that would be a good reflection of like progression path, because like after I get my massive Orgrimmar, I'm like done. I'm like, okay, cool. Like what do I do? I
said
beat it with my
you're
hands
max
behind my back.
geared. You said to yourself
This
you're
is a
max
good-
geared, right?
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
You're just max geared all the time.
Because the
All
level
the
1s and
time.
level 2
I've been
scrap,
max
they're
geared for
very
months.
easy, but they wouldn't be if we were in 630 or whatever gear. Right?
That's true.
We'd be doing 1/3 the DPS, if that, you know, not probably even less than that. Yada yada yada, and that would be like, okay, well, I'm doing 1 and 2 masks right now, but 3, 4, or 5 weeks from now, I'm doing 5 and 6 masks, so on and so forth.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the delve thing, except like you said, the delves are shorter, less high quality.
Well, I'm less
know.
engaging. I'm just walking
Less
and killing,
engaging.
walking and killing,
This
walking and killing.
is a different kind of vibe though, because this is like a roguelike. You're going and doing the same thing over and over again, and you're making it harder, or you're adding affixes, or you're going in and trying to find a way to beat it better. Delves are like mini dungeons for 1 to 3 people that are just trying to gear. Like they're not quite the same thing. This
But this
something
isn't
to
a
do.
roguelike. I mean, roguelike is like Torghast, where you get powers and you like upgrade throughout. Like every time I go into this, I have the same power level as I do any other time I go into it.
And my point to that, Ioski, is going to be, imagine a delve and its boss. Are any of them as complex as the mini bosses inside the vision, like the Mage Tower one that you have to interrupt but also not get hit, and you have to, you know, you can't touch them until you get close enough to them in melee, so on and so forth.
Manage your lead feet.
Well, on what level? Because I mean, you're talking about like an 8 mask boss, or you're talking about like a boss
No, the
with
mask.
one
The
mask?
boss is the same
the
on one
bosses
master
are the
8.
same.
They just are
the-
harder.
The thing is, there's additional affixes, there's additional debuffs, there's additional, like, what they do is they take the same mechanic, the same fight, the same boss, and they add and overlay all this stuff to make it more difficult, and that's what presents the challenge. Because right now, delves, like, I know all the boss mechanics, and because I use delves to get gear for some of my alts, and my brawn is maxed out, and you know, whatever, but I think the challenge as you start to add masks is, you know, is what brings people like Scrap, who
Yeah, I like
loves
the
to
challenge.
persist. Like Scrap's superpower is just persistence, right?
I love a grind. Like,
Like she'll just keep going and going and going,
Yep.
and that'll keep her engaged, and that's all
Yep.
she needs, right? Whereas like people like me, I just would get frustrated and leave.
you're like,
and-
fuck this, is not fair.
Yeah, not
I'm out.
care.
Yep.
So
I think it's just a different audience. Like people
Yeah.
who like this are not necessarily people that are going to like delves, but people who like chilling in delves might not necessarily care to do an 8 mask run of this. So I just think they're just different kind of vibes. So
That's true.
Yeah, and I
do-
want to support
yeah.
that, obviously, if that someone wants to play like a delve style system. I
Yeah.
fully support that. But for me,
I think
go on.
I think you are onto something though. It would be cool if there was a way to kind of almost either infinitely scale or add stuff to the delves to make them harder, and maybe not necessarily for gear, but for like cosmetics or just achievements. That would be cool.
My
Or
my
mounts.
point
Time
is
'em.
my point is not even about the like the delve is fine, because you say it's like a mini dungeon, but again, like to me, there are mechanics in there. I'm not saying they're not, but they're like, I'm just not paying attention to them, because the only thing that is actually hard is the white swing, is the melee, right?
Yeah.
Everything else is inconsequential. You know, in fairness, the question mark bosses, at least I haven't done the seasons, but
Those
last
are
season,
great. Yeah.
that was a good example of, okay, now this is something I have to think, and it was challenging, right?
Right.
Yeah, and I love that Mage Tower vibe.
Yeah.
Like, that's
But-
sick.
But like as Scrap pointed out, I'm not routing the delve, right? Even
No.
if there is a part where I'm supposed to be like, get X amount of kills or whatever, like I'm just like, if I'm in a room, like, yeah, I'll just kill everything here. But when I get to an 8 mask, so that's the equivalent of like a 1 or 2 mask. When I get to the 8 mask equivalent, that's where I'm going to say, okay, hold on a second. Like, I do need to be careful not to pull this, or whatever. Also, the bolstering alone in the masks is like a cool reason why that you have to be careful. And so that's what I would think. Even if you don't like, if you think the delve system is good, which I do think it is, I think it's especially for a first try. But my advice would be push it in the direction of how visions act, and then give quality over quantity. I don't need 12. Give me 2. And that's easy for me to say because I do like dungeons and raids. Maybe it's,
Yeah, I mean, I hate to come back because it's like I have the same feedback for delves I had before, is that it just feels like worse versions of things we've had in the past. Like we had horrific visions in BFA, right?
We had
like this is just
Torghast.
Yeah, we had Torghast, which was the roguelike that you're talking about. And delves just feel like a shittier version of both of those combined. Like they took half of one and half of the other and just took like the parts that don't make it engaging and put together. It's fine. Like I did enjoy the delve grind like at the very beginning of the season before there was like 1 week where there was no Mythic Plus and I went super hard on delves. And then there was Mythic Plus and I did no more delves. Like so I would love to see. I think Horrific Visions and Torghast were more on the nose for like fun solo play that you could kind of push up, and Mage Tower, but I think that's different category, and so playing this, yeah, I agree. It kind of opened my eyes. I was like, damn, I wish delves were like this. But yeah,
They should keep both. Like have this to get some player power. Have it, your basic version of it where people can just run through it the 8 times, get the black blood real quick, get their enchant, and then the people who actually want to engage with it further on can try to do the 8 mask, and then keep the delves for the people that don't necessarily want to do Mythic Plus or Raid, but still want to get like champion heroic gear,
And I also feel like how hard is it to just like recycle a map? Like it's Orgrimmar and Stormwind. Like let's see Tazavesh. You already have the map. You already have like the boss models and stuff. This guy's corrupted. He has slightly different mechanics. It's like, okay, once a season we could get one of these.
Yeah,
and it would be fun.
People are so traumatized from like Torghast and this from when they were like really required and you had to do them over weeks that they think they don't. But as we see like it is now, a lot of people are having a lot of fun with it. If they could do it in a way like this where it's casual and not super crazy, then I think they could keep doing stuff like this and maybe introducing new systems to it too.
Yeah, this isn't required. I mean, the enchant you get for your helm isn't hard to get, but even if you didn't have it, you could still do all your keys and everything else.
Yeah.
So
all right, well,
I give this one a thumbs up.
Of course
we're pressed for time, so we're going to keep moving, okay?
Keep
We need to talk about another part of the Horrific Visions that is an overarching theme throughout seasons and throughout ideas that Blizzard implements, which is time gating. All right, the nasty word of the season. So there was time gating behind some of the cosmetics. They took that away, but there was also time gating between the talent tree of the Horrific Visions. So I wanted to ask y'all's opinion. I have my own. I'm going to share it in a second, but was time gating the talent tree of the Horrific Visions a good or bad idea?
Go on, Lithian. You first.
I mean, I think it was a bad idea, but only because you still need the resources to get the eyeball thing to get the talent points.
Yeah.
So you still had to progress through. The drawback is you can do it all in 1 week and just only do Stormwind and never go into Orgrimmar and do that side, right? But I don't know. I thought it was not necessary for this, but that's my opinion.
Okay. Anyone else?
I'm in support of unobtrusive, fairly quick time gating, because like I understand if they let you get the whole thing in 1 week, I would do it in 1 week and I'd be done with it. If they stretched it out for 3 weeks, I'll do it over 3 weeks. And I understand they got to keep me subbed, they got to keep people in, so I don't mind a little bit of time gating. I think this is an appropriate use of time gating. It's not like over 10 weeks, right? Like it's over 3. And like you could sweat maximum and probably do an 8 mask.
Well,
you couldn't get all 8
time gating.
week,
Didn't they take the time gating off of this, or did they?
Yeah,
not?
no, we have complete. We have
tree.
complete
Not the talent
trees
tree.
this week, though.
Well, there's supposed to be another hidden talent that was on the PTR. That isn't in the game, apparently. We're not sure if it'll come out next week. But if you go on the PTR, there's one more talent that's supposed to be like, it's called Gift of the Titans or something. Okay, I'm going to give you a more extreme example because I do, my opinion of this is, this was a good time gate only because
this time
it was
gating
short,
is good.
and it was like, I don't want to be done with Horrific Visions that quickly, but I also, like, I didn't want to run it for 50 hours in 1 week and be done with it either. I wanted to like, okay, I got a little bit of a taste. I'll come back next week for the next.
But I also feel last week, like you were progressing. You could have done Orgrimmar on 8 mass with half the talent tree.
People did.
Yeah, people did.
Yeah.
I would just say, but even like you could have done it. You just kind of ran out of time.
Done it if we had really.
We could have done it. But I didn't start playing it until like Saturday, and then I didn't have any practice with like the other masks and stuff. And also, I'm bad at it.
The other alternative of the reason why time getting is such a big deal right now is the cartel chips. Okay.
This time getting sucked. I didn't like it.
Okay. So not only is there time gating, right? But there's also time gating without a catch up for the puzzling cartel chips. If you didn't do the quest in the previous week, you are still, no matter what, behind. All right. Yeah. So I was curious, Scrap, you've already started on this one. What is the reason why this one sucks over the other one? No
catch up, and it just feels arbitrary. It's like you can't have fun with this thing for 3 weeks, whereas like the Horrific Visions is like you can keep playing the thing, you still have some stuff, whatever. It's like
you can have fun with this on day one. You just can't have all of this fun.
That's not what we're talking about, because day one was not time gated. You just got it on day one, and they did that because people were bitching about it. This is, and because they were bitching like about the arbitrary time gating. They were gonna make us do it like 6 weeks in a row. That's just time gating that's lazy. It's like, we have an item, we're dangling a carrot on a stick for you. You have to play 3 weeks to do it. Fuck you. Go on,
okay, hold on. Before Lithium, I'm sorry. I just want to clear some things up. Scrap, one, you got one on day one, yes, because of the feedback they were giving, right?
Because of the bitching, yes.
No, but they added it. They gave you a third item instead of 2 items they were originally going to do, right? 2, it's over 6 weeks. Okay, so
that's a lot. But it also just feels
like it is 6 weeks.
A carrot on a stick. Like literally, there's nothing else that you can say. It's not like engage in this in a special way or do it. It's like literally, you just have to sneeze to get your puzzle chip. Like you can do LFR or whatever. It's not hard. It's not difficult. It's just you have to log in this week and you can't catch up. So you can't lose your sub for a week because you're gonna be so far behind. It's like, okay, that I see what you're doing. Don't hold on. What am I gonna say is wrong?
So far behind.
So yeah, can I be clear?
There's no catch up.
Well, this doesn't change. All this does is prevent you from having to wait for the vault to get the item you need. It doesn't do anything else.
And on top of that,
go ahead, Frank.
So my problem is this: Scrap was like 2 episodes ago arguing 1% difference is not a big deal.
It's not. But you're asking me. I'm not saying you don't need this, right? Just like you don't need the helmet enchant. However,
this is bad luck protection.
If you ask me if this is good time gating, I'm gonna say it's bad time gating.
It's peanut buttering the bad luck protection so that you have it for the last 2 months of the season. Look, I want to be clear. I'm not trying to defend the time gating. I'm not saying it's necessarily a good game mechanic. What I'm saying though is it makes sense to me. What I don't understand though is the people like Scrap just did saying this is bullshit. Why can't I have 3 free items right away? Like they gave you one.
It's not about the item. It's not about the item. It's about the appearance of it. That like, well, if I want to get this tiny item for this tiny upgrade, I have to play 6 weeks in a row. It's like
the problem is Scrap is fully geared out to the max, right?
I've been geared out for 2 months to the max.
She doesn't need these Dinars.
Let me give you an alternative. Okay, Scrap. Let's say it was every 3 weeks this quest popped up. So week 1, you got the 3. Let's forget the 3. You just got a chip, right? And you could exchange that. And then week 4, another quest would pop up and you can just get 1 chip. And then week 7, another quest would pop up and you get a chip. Would that be a better time gate system?
If there was catch up, I would say that's fine. Because let's say I unsub for a month and I pop in at week 7, I should be able to get all 3.
Okay, so your problem isn't the time gating, it's the catch up.
Yeah, it's a large part of it, but also the time gating just feels unnecessary for something so small that they would time gate it this drastically. Seems a little bit annoying.
Like I care about time gating I care about catch up for a different reason. Because,
let's hear about you. I've given all my opinion.
Because like I just started playing an Outlaw Rogue and I found that Outlaw is kind of fun to play. The problem is I haven't been playing it, so now I got my first quest, which gave me a free item, and there's no catch-up mechanic, right? So I'm not going to get those other items or whatever, which, is really hard when my outlaw rogue is item level 630, and I'm trying to find ways to boost it, so I can start doing higher keys, right?
To turbo boost it, like if you were to use a
Turbo
phrase.
boost
Yeah.
it, yes. Good call. Good
That's
call.
good. Write that one down. Write that one
Write
down.
that one down. I just the fact that
Hold
they
on.
call it turbo boost and it's such a tiny little boost for such a pain in the ass thing to have to
Crap,
do.
we got like 10 eye levels that week. What are you talking about?
Yeah, and not only that,
Tiny
but it's
boost.
not just
Yeah.
the Dinars. It's
This
all
is
the
also
woo,
called
it's
Turbo
all
Boost.
the lifting of Valor Stones and everything like that. Like,
Yeah.
this
That's
is
fine.
okay, we're gonna talk about this later, but this is why I wouldn't want to be a dev for a major game.
Because
Especially
everybody
WoW.
hates
Oh, no.
it.
No, it's because
No.
like everyone loses sight of like what is actually happening. Because
I'm not losing sight. I said the other time gating was fine. I'm totally reasonable. This
No,
one
no.
sucks.
Okay, let's be clear, because
Yeah.
this isn't the first time time gating's been a huge issue. In fact, they've time gated the other Dinars in other seasons, right?
Sure.
But the problem is like there's this word around time gating that, or the idea behind time gating that everyone's like, fuck you if you say time gating. Dratnos did a great video on it. If you want to watch it, he got a lot of shit on his comments because people are like, can't believe you're defending time gating, right? But the truth is, it doesn't make sense to just blast people with 3 really high-end pieces of gear right away.
1% boost.
if-
So
No, but like in Lithian's case for his rogue, right? If he were to catch up and he started playing his outlaw rogue in, let's say, 2 weeks instead of right now, he'd be able to get 2, mythic, if not, let's say, hero gear right off the bat, and then a third a week later, right? Which isn't necessarily a problem that late in the season. So I'm not defending it. I'm just saying it's okay because he just started playing the tune. Why would you just blast him with, not only all the woo gear they're handing out, right? Because they're handing out a ton of woo gear, but also the fact that he can just ship Valor Stones like crazy now to that alt. Yes, he has still gotten to get the crest, but the truth is, are 10s easier right now? Are 12s easier right now?
well, not in pugs.
Yep.
No, scrap. Everyone in their fucking mother are getting 12s done, right? Like it's insane right now.
Who'd you throw under the bus?
I mean, I will throw a lot of people under the bus, but I'm not
Okay,
going to.
don't. Yeah.
And not
Oh,
under the bus. I'm
man.
just going to say, it's
I thought you
clearly
said a
not-
name.
It's clearly not hard anymore,
Yeah, I know. I just look. Let me put my flag in the sand here. I think time
the
gating.
end of it.
No, I think time gating in general is a good thing. I'm in favor of even capping things like Valor Stones or not Valor Stones, like aspect crests and stuff like that, because I understand that like
It's
they
to
need
stop
to
me from
stretch out.
playing 60 hours in a week.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly. It's that like you can't just like spend all your time. It's like it gives me a more. It's them setting the pace, saying, "Hey, this is a reasonable pace," and I say, "Okay, I'm gonna do a little bit more than that." And they're like, "Okay, but you're not gonna get anything for that. You're just doing that for yourself." And I'm like,
I was
"Okay,
gonna say,
cool.
you're doing
We're
that
in
'cause you're
agreement."
having fun.
Yeah, you're doing it because you're having fun. Cool, love it. But when I look at this and I'm looking at all the things on the wall, it just feels like an unnecessary time gate to me. Like that there's no catch up. That's 3 weeks to get a tiny piece of gear. It's just like, dude, why? Like the Dinars has to go. It's too contentious. It makes everybody mad. Like just don't give it to
Ooh,
us.
that's a hot
And
take. Dinars. Go.
I just think there's not an easy way to do it.
There
like,
is an easy way. Okay,
at
so
least in Dragonflight.
no, first and
They just give it
foremost,
to you.
first and foremost, if we knew how Dinars had worked from the start, I think it'd be a different story, right? So that is
sure.
again the communication part we talked about in the past.
Yep.
Second, I think the catch up is an issue. This is the first time they haven't done a catch up, which is surprising, but whatever. Not a huge deal. They could fix that next season.
Yeah.
And on top of that, they did make changes based on player feedback to include mythic players, which actually is kind of good because, like, for example, my healer and my tank, I haven't gotten 12s done. I just did 10s for the vault. And now I have a reason to go do 12s on them because, like, oh, you know what? I do want the myth track for that. Let's go do it. And now
I like that.
engaging more, right?
Yeah.
So, like, in general, this has been, I think, an overall win. But if you were to ask players, and again, snapshot judgment, they wouldn't, like, if they didn't really put some thought into it, they'd say, no, fuck them. I hate, I blah, blah, blah. And again, I'm not saying that the catch-up mechanic is an issue, but the fact that people just hear time gating and want to, like, get their rifles, I think is just another symptom of how hard it is to be engaging with this community when they can't, not bite their nose off to spite their face.
I'm telling you, Frank, that's not me. I'm not like a here at time gating and grab my
you
rifle.
wanted Holly Longdale fired because you thought she was full of shit. And we're
Well,
gonna
I'm not saying I don't grab my rifle. I'm just saying I don't grab it over time gating. However, this kind of triggers me, and I
what time
don't.
gating does?
I mean,
No, this specific implementation of time gating.
Okay.
I think we live in a world where everybody wants to have everything right away, and
I thought he was going to quote that Twitter thing.
You don't want to have to go work for it. You don't want to have to wait for it. Like, there's no patience anymore. Everybody just wants it right away, and then once you have it, what do you do, right?
Here's the thing,
I don't know.
Are you even using all your chips? I haven't used my second chip.
No.
I won't use my third one because I don't need anything.
No, my Death Knight is sitting on his.
And again, we're not the people, because it was bad luck protection for one thing, but it wasn't,
I wish you could use Dinars on things other than trinkets and weapons, right?
What do you want to use it on?
Like, can I use it on, I'm missing mythic boots. Can I just get mythic boots? Like, why
No.
not?
I'm just the entire tournament round catalog in front of her.
Yeah, no, but I mean, I'm just saying, I have a third chip coming in 3 more weeks, I guess. And I'm like, what if I'm missing one mythic piece of gear? Why can't I use it on...
You just want to play the tournament realm. Just get on the tournament realm. You'll be done.
I do want to play the tournament realm. No, but I'm just saying, okay, let's say in 3 weeks, I don't... How many pieces of gear do people have? 10, 11?
No,
the reason why it doesn't work like that is because you can get boots from a bunch of different places.
I know, but I don't have any mythic boots, IO, and I've been playing since the beginning of the season.
The only way she's gonna get mythic boots is if they
drop in her vault. Exactly, and I would really like some bad luck protection to allow me to have mythic boots. So get on that. Let me have the boots.
Was it Holly? Send it to Holly, bro.
Yeah, I'm just saying, why can't maybe that's my last slot left.
If you don't have mythic boots, then just craft 681 boots. And you're almost there.
I don't craft shit. Leave me alone.
Okay,
I want the mythic boots out of the vault.
Let's recap real quick. I ask you, you're a bitch. She doesn't engage the game correctly, and it's
that
all
was
your fault.
like friendly bitch, like he's my girl, bitch affectionate.
Oh my god, dude.
Okay, should we move on?
Yeah, let's move on. I think we got it. Wait, does anybody have Wait, what was Io's opinion on it?
Oh, I was gonna play devil's advocate real quick. I think I think it's okay to not have a catch up because
it's
bad luck protection, right? So if you have a toon you've been playing the whole season, it makes sense. But then halfway through the season, you're like, I'm just gonna mess around on an alt. Screw you. You got to put the time in to get that bad luck protection. You got to earn it.
I'm just looking at what the quest is called, and it's not called Bad Luck Protection Powerhouse Challenge. It's called Turbo Boost Powerhouse Challenges.
Wow,
so...
marketing
the Turbo Boost.
Why would they market it?
Poorly marketed Holly Longdale.
Here's free shit. Let's just name it that. Here's free shit.
Free shit.
Free shit powerhouse challenges.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
But that's pretty much all I wanted to add. I think it's fine if your later characters have to wait a little longer to get it, and time gating for the visions in this were both fine.
What about the time gating for the content itself? Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. For the content itself, the Dasterdly Duos finally began this week. Now, has anyone done them?
Yeah,
they were bugged, so I didn't want to do them.
Oh, I did it solo on my bear, and it was fine. It was easy.
Is it a challenging thing?
So
nah.
Okay, then I'm gonna do it.
I have an issue with this one because we're so close now to the next patch. They advertised this 2 months ago for this patch, and it's it's only this week. It's going to continue on in 11.7, but it's funny that they should have just made it for 11.7 at that point and made
it came out 2 weeks before 11.7. In fairness,
yeah, you don't get anything for you get a banner, you get some toys and stuff, achievements. It's for people who just want to collect, the people who collect things.
Yeah, I don't understand this one.
You don't understand it?
Yeah, I don't understand why they wouldn't have just done this in the visions together.
Okay, well, let me ask this.
Wow.
First off, let's imagine visions doesn't exist.
Real quick, before I didn't mean to cut you off, but this also, you don't even get all the bosses this week too, so you can't even do the whole thing.
No, you gotta wait.
Yeah.
Oh, until when? Next week is all of them? Yeah, more time.
Yeah,
a little bit of time gating.
A 6-week event, so you get a new one each
I thought
week,
they cycle. I thought they cycle.
Oh, maybe. I don't know, but I thought someone read that you get so many bosses and then you get an additional one each week.
I
It's like a
got.
boss rush.
Maybe.
I have to look at my achievements because I think I got everything but 2. But I don't know. Maybe I'm missing
Here's
something.
the thing. Going back to the horrific visions, right? Like this is if horrific visions didn't exist for a second, and Scrap was hearing about how we were getting high scores, right?
I was.
Oh, I got this
Yeah.
score. Oh, I got that score.
Yeah.
It's true or false, Scrap. You would be on
I want
there.
the highest. Yeah.
Exactly.
I have
You
to
want-
have the highest score.
She wants the highest, or she's going to change the rules so that she wins anyway.
My favorite
Well,
thing about
yes.
this, right, is this is like this is extra credit, right? We
Yeah,
don't
it's just
normally get
fun.
this kind of stuff. It's just there. You might engage with for an hour. That is, again, an hour's worth of content, in my opinion, is maybe not worth the $15 sub, but like it makes my $15 sub go an extra hour. I always view it in the sense of if I had to pay $15 to go see a movie, that's only 2 hours of content. I'm getting 2 hours of content out of this. Awesome, right?
Yeah.
But it's not for everyone, of course. I'm not saying it is. But so far, everyone that's engaged with it has said, well, it's good. It's fine. Like no one's like raved about it, but they're like, yeah, okay. And I think only one developer worked on it. So it's not like it took up a whole bunch of resources.
This has been a weird patch. Like I remember when we talked about the release schedule, I was like, this is fucking weird. Where like normally they release all the patch content on a day, but they were like every 2 weeks we're gonna release something and it's gonna be the patch we promised.
Yeah,
patch
so
is
that's
coming.
That's going back to the time gating aspect of it, right? Do you
they're
think
like
you would have
time-gating the
engaged with this
patch.
at all if it was released as the season was released?
Yeah,
I would
no.
say I might have gone back to it, like as the season was,
You haven't gone
like,
back to
winding down.
Dells.
No, but I mean, I didn't do horrific visions the first weekend. Then you were having like all these high score moments. I was like, I gotta get in on this. So,
Yes, but that's
Yeah.
because
That was
it
happy with the
wasn't there
duos.
when we were in the middle of doing Mythic Plus pushing.
Right.
which we're getting back to this week, right, Frank?
Are we? Are we getting
Yeah,
back to that?
Frank said we're getting back to
No.
pushing. He says
Well,
he
let's
wants
be
to
clear.
push.
Let's be clear.
Yep.
What I said was, I've always wanted to push. It's just that we haven't been online. And in fairness, we haven't even recorded all these podcasts because of Memorial Day and Mother's Day. We got Father's Day coming up.
Yeah.
It's summer.
Yeah.
The kids are out of school. Lithian's wife had a bad day, so he has to go sex her up. It's all sorts of things going on.
His face. I want it, but Frank, here's what I want to change is that I see you and Haywire and Lithian on, and I say, "Fuck yeah, it's push time." I get on, and Haywire's on as priest. I'm like, I don't want any part of that. Are you kidding me? I don't want any
His
part of
priest is
that.
okay. His priest is okay.
It's okay, but we're not pushing.
He can do 12s.
You know,
He can do
and Lithian's
12s.
changed to a completely different character. You guys are off the rails.
Yeah, but I could
Stay on the rails.
I could tank the same level of keys as on my druid as I can on my DK.
Yeah, but I saw you log
so.
on to your rogue the other day, and that's how I know the season's dead.
Well,
Like-
nobody's around. Nobody's around, Scrap. Like
Yeah.
I get on and there's
Oh,
like
he's-
nobody online.
Frank's gonna pull up numbers to show the season's not dead.
No.
No,
I just saw
no,
they just put a new post out. I wanted to talk about it.
Oh, okay.
I know everybody's super busy and everything, so I have to like play alts to keep myself entertained because
Yeah.
pugging, by the way, pugging 13s and higher right
Dude.
now is rough.
Do not
And
hug right now. This is a PSA. Do not
Yeah,
hug into 14s. You will
it
see the
is-
worst players you've ever seen in your life.
it is tough right now. So I'm
Especially
like, well, I'll
arcane
just go
mages.
mess around.
No arcane
Yeah.
mages. Absolutely
Arca-
fucking not.
They're
Never
so bad.
invite an arcane mage. Dude, balanced druids too. I got a balanced druid in my group. Holy shit.
They don't do any. I don't know where their damage comes from because it ain't working anymore. It's broken.
But okay, this is
All right,
seriously.
let's finish
Stay out
Dastardly
of.
Duos and then we'll talk about the rest
Yeah,
of the season.
yeah.
I'm
Alright.
done with
Heroes is
Dastardly Duos. I
fine.
don't even know what this is. So
Wait, hold up.
No thumbs up
I
from you,
think-
Scrap?
I give it no thumbs because I haven't engaged it. Let's hear Io.
I think you convinced me though, Frank. I do think it was probably a good idea to hold this because
Yeah.
at this point in the season, if you're someone who maybe doesn't play other games, WoW's your only game, you're casual, you do pet battles, you do everything, and you're like, I wish I had something to do to keep me occupied. Oh, cool, here's a new thing that they're throwing in there I can do. So yeah, I think that makes sense.
It's even
that
better
they
than that
split
because
it all
like
up.
here's the thing, like I still want to do my Mythic Plus. I still want to fill my vault. I'm doing eight. I haven't dropped below 8 keys on my mage all season, right? I'm having
loser.
one of the best seasons
God.
as far as fun goes. I'm having an awesome time, right? Here's the thing though. It's insane to not say it's the lull of the season. And if I can log in and say, hey, I'm going to do some horrific visions while I wait for Io or Lithian or whoever to get on, right? Or I could say, hey, Dastardly Duos, that sounds fun. I'm going to go do that for 15 minutes while I'm waiting for the raid or whatever it is. That is just something that was not there before. It doesn't sound like it took a lot of resources. And I want to just say, like, keep doing this shit.
Yeah,
for sure.
throw some darts at the
Because-
wall because eventually you'll hit something really fun.
And I'm including in that shit quote time gating it. I don't want this to launch
Fine.
even with the 11.5 or the 1.5 patch, because there's enough stuff in there to just doing the Mythic Plus dungeons, as you said, I asked you that first week alone, you did like 30 of them, right? Was enough to say I've got plenty to do in this game. I'm okay with this is not a patch leading thing to be excited about, but it is something to be excited about when you're 8 weeks into the secondary patch or whatever it is, and you say, oh yeah, let me go do this for a little bit, it'll be fun, even if it's only for fun for an hour. So
can I tell you what Lithian and I have found a new game when we're waiting to do keys? we pick somebody in Dornigal and we follow them around and we heckle
you
them.
did that once today. Don't start. Okay, we're moving on.
No,
That's
this
a
is the
new
new
game
game.
now.
The old game was the hot tub.
now
The
we
new
just
games-
heckle people.
I'm just saying, sometimes you gotta create your own game when you're waiting for a key to get together.
Cool story. All right, let's talk about how season 2 is closing out.
Oh come on, he's mad because we thought of it first.
Oh, yeah. No, every time we start a game, you guys always say, I gamify it, and then you guys get upset. Anyways, I want to talk quickly. This is just something that was posted talking about how 10 out of 13 classes are completing plus 21 keys. So it does look like it's in pretty good shape, that this is shaping out to be a pretty decently balanced season. That
Survival Hunter?
said...
no, it's Warlock and
There's not even any
Drax-
hunter.
No,
Warlock and
marksman.
Drax-
Oh, that's 21.
Oh,
or
there's
20.
yeah, it's a marksman.
Yeah, you're not in there. I
It says
guess.
2 classes. I don't know what those 2
It's
classes are.
5. I don't.
Anyway,
All right. Anyways, point is, I think the balance this season has been pretty good. I'll talk more about that in a second when we talk to
There's the
Ian's-
meta arcane mage.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not even as big as balance druid, so what the fuck does it matter?
I'm just
they're
saying.
both bad.
It looks different from this side of the tracks.
In fact, the
but
unholy is a bigger meta than arcane is. Don't start.
I'm just saying it looks different from this side of the tracks. Like
Arcane's the
where you
5th
talk about
slot. All right.
You talk
And
about
by
the
way,
balance.
oh my god, why do you do this?
I'm sorry, and I'm just
Because
saying.
you don't even
from where I'm
care that
looking-
arcane mage is in the meta. You just care that I am an arcane mage and it's the meta.
I'm just saying it's
Frank's
the
over
meta.
here.
The
Flavor
meta
of the month.
person, is the meta person says, "Oh, the balance is good," but then I'm here and I don't want to say, "Oh, the balance is bad," but I'm thinking it really hard.
Yeah,
I can't believe I didn't play Vengeance Demon Hunter. Oh
Yeah,
my
you
gosh.
played GH.
Anyways,
Yeah.
the MDI also finished this past weekend. I didn't watch all of it, but apparently the ending was epic as shit. Wonderbar,
I
who
didn't
won,
watch it.
spoiler, sorry, apparently won in overtime. They just improved the time to give themselves the tie-breaking lead. But
That's fun.
all of them were like they did plus 23s and plus 22s, which is insane.
Wow.
Right? World first keys. A lot of people in the high end are hitting their plus 20 resilience keys. It does sound like we talked about this last week, right? The resilience key thing. I say last week, it was almost 3 weeks
Last
now.
time.
Yeah. But like it does sound like this is a really high end problem of resilience keys, but I still think that they are an insanely good. Like, I don't understand why people are saying resilience keys are bad when they say, well, because people just want to keep pulling the same dungeon over and over again. Like, you can say no to it. It's not
Yeah, the people you're going with is making it bad. The mechanic isn't bad.
Or they're saying, for
Still.
example, well, what if everyone can, like, if I have a resilience 20 key, what if I'm able to get like everyone in my guild the rank 1 title, or not rank 1 title, but like the title for the season?
They still had to work for it. Like
They have to complete the
it's fine.
time, right?
Yeah.
So the spec balance real quick, just because we're kind of on this, I think that also has to do with resilient keys because more people are pushing it in groups. You know, you see the one comp that's like the Prot Warrior, the Mistweaver Monk, the Feral Druid, and all that. Like you see those comps, and they're getting up to 20 keys because they're just playing together as a team.
Yep.
And they're able to push because they don't deplete. And so I don't necessarily know if it's more balanced in terms of if you're pugging, but definitely in terms of people being able to reach higher levels because they're not dropping down as far. I think that helps that out a lot.
It also just puts the power in the key holder's hands. So it's like if you're playing an off meta class, it's like you can have your key at a certain level and push it up. Like you're not at the whims of pugs necessarily.
We got the best push group on our E team. All meta across the board. Survival Hunter.
Like, Bear Druid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
Bear
DK.
Druid, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
You're all right though. Come on.
I do, but back to the number scrap, because you said you wanted me, like, these are healthy numbers, and I think a lot of it's to do with resilient keys, because people are like a little more comfortable saying I'm not going to burn something if I try, especially since I can do my vault very easily with those resilient keys.
I mean, every week I try to just run my key once and just see what happens with it.
And on top of that, right, like, if I'm more comfortable knowing that my resilient, now granted you have to get to resilient first, but if I'm more comfortable knowing I've got that resilient 12, I don't have to be complaining about the fact that I'm not getting accepted to groups, because now I have my key to use to queue myself up, and I can control the narrative that I want. I'm still seeing people online complaining like, oh, I've been turned down by 780 groups in 2 hours. I don't know what world that is. Scrap, you're a survival hunter and you're not even getting turned down that much, right? Like
fucking crazy, dude. In 14s, of course, mind you.
Well,
like,
14s are a different space, but yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, mind you, like any group that takes me is doomed to fail, not because of me, but because they have very bad taste. And so like they're already like every time I get invited to a 14, it's like with insane donkey level play. But I'm just saying, there's not a lot of people playing at that, I guess, right now. So they just see that I'm like above 3100, and they're like, oh, this person must know what they're doing, and jokes on them. I don't know how I got there,
Well,
but I'm just saying, I'm getting invited as a survival hunter, which is the lowest of all lows right now, and I'm getting like quick invites to 14s.
You're at the bottom.
Yeah, results may vary, of course.
Yeah.
I'm convinced that the people who are complaining that they're not getting into keys is because they have like a 2500 IO and they're applying to 14s. Like that's
I'm
that's
sure
the only scenario I can imagine.
There's also humps that you struggle to get over, like at 30. People just see 31 and then they're like, okay, cool, you're in. Like, but if you're 3099, it's like you're probably not going to get into a 14, right?
We did a 13 this evening, right? And I
but
put the key up. No, but listen. When I put the key up, I would say 90% of people who were queuing were people who had barely done their 12s, right? And that's not to say that they shouldn't be trying to get into 13s. That's fine, right? Like that's your next level of progression. I'm not saying you shouldn't be there, but what I'm saying is it's surprising, especially because people are trying to get their keys done for their vault. It's surprising that we didn't have people who were 3100 and 3200 that were just missing their not 3200, but missing their last 13 or whatever. They're missing their last for resilience, right?
If you list
we didn't see those people.
If you list a 12, you will get 3,200 people in there, because they're just like, I'm doing my weekly, but they don't want to do their weekly in a 13 because they're like, who are these dorks trying to push 13?
Well, and you're more likely to see a failure than you will in 12.
These dorks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they don't want to play with us. If we're trying to push a 13, they do not want anything to do with us.
Well,
forget about a 14.
Speaking of the season ending, right? We've got 11.1.7 releasing as of taping, we'll call it 2 weeks ish, right? And with it, Lorewalking, right? We've talked about this, Scrap. The official Lorewalking is coming out with the first 3 quests. Did I tell you, Scrap, that they're going to have 36 planned quests for Lorewalking?
Just 36 quests or 36 quests?
Stories, I should say.
Oh, I love that. Right? That's hype.
People like Taliesin's a good example of someone who this would be like built for. He's in love with it. He says the Xalatath one is insanely good.
I'm so excited for this.
Yeah, the Lich King one is okay, but like apparently you play as the Lich King in the raid, and it's just like you had an opportunity to do really something cool and they didn't.
Frank, remind me, what is this is for leveling characters?
Yeah, you can do it at max level, but the idea is that.
Oh, but you can do it at level. What's the max level? 80?
Yeah.
So you can do it at level 70?
You start at level 10 and you can go.
Okay, cool. Because here's my problem why alts don't ever happen in my world is because the 70 to 80, I hate doing over the new story. You know what I mean? Like I hate having to do the freaking War Within story. And so I get stuck there. I love going back into wherever fuck Cataclysm and stuff and leveling from 0 to 70. The second I get to 70, I'm like, ugh, I don't want to do a bunch of quests I already just did. I'm gonna get some characters up with this, dude.
Well, it's a good thing you bring up leveling because within this, so we got the Turbulent Timeways, okay? So in order to get this mount, Scrap, you're gonna have to do the time walking, 5 of them, I think, every week for 6 weeks.
5 every week? No.
Yeah, this is how you get the really boss ass bitch mounts, right?
In my life, I hate time walking.
But it's good for leveling though, Scrap. In fairness.
I'm gonna
Right.
hate leveling
I
in
just slam it
Timegating.
on my tank and it's fine.
Yeah.
I'll take you with me.
I will
I'll tank
level
it.
whatever I need as a healer or tank if I can.
Yeah.
But what happens with the scrap is we now have a date that we believe the patch will come out August 5th, which is, I believe, the week after Gen Con for you. So you'll be able to come home to a new content patch. I'm actually surprised we haven't gotten any details about that yet. We usually, because it's been on the not the PTR, but the internal PTR, I can't remember what they call it. It's been on there for I think 2 weeks now. So I would have thought we'd see something by it, and who knows, tomorrow morning they might post something because they're assholes. But also with this patch comes the Overcharged Delves event. So more borrowed power, more, I don't want to say it's time gating, but I think there is some time gating associated with it. But we will get a new belt that can be upgraded to item level 694 over time. So there's time gating, which will require you to do delves. Are you excited about that?
If the delves they're overcharged, so maybe it'll be more challenging.
I know there's something like oh god, I didn't do any research on this, but I thought there was some sort of like I know there's a power with it, but I thought there was like a talent tree with it as well.
I'll say I haven't hit delves a lot this season, like pretty much not at all. I did like the question mark, but I didn't really. I've done like 2 delves. I tried the 2 new ones or whatever, but I wouldn't mind doing a couple delves to remind myself that I don't like them. I guess I don't know.
I don't mind the delves. I'll probably do this. I mean, I'm sure everybody will do it for the power.
Yeah,
but
I'll do it for the power.
I'll slam through it and get it done.
So we're getting another power before the new content patch.
Yep.
The 11.2.
Yep.
Dude,
Yeah,
can we set a goal? Like,
circlet.
let's get resilient 15s because we're gonna be
we definitely can do that. We could do that now.
we could do that now if we wanted.
Let's do it now then. Let's do it now.
Well,
Frank.
Scrap, with all due respect,
Bro.
and I'm even going to include Ioski here because I haven't seen Ioski a lot lately, but I know he's there. Of me, Lithian, Ioski, Haywire, not Shawnee.
Shawnee is the only one worse than me.
Well, no, because Shawnee just hasn't been playing as much lately.
Up. Yeah. At showing up, not at the game.
Where have you fucking been?
I've been playing Roller Coaster Tycoon 2. It's a game from 1991.
Roller Coaster Tycoon?
Yeah,
we can have
myself.
15 resilient.
Who would I play Roller Coaster Tycoon with, Frank? It's a one-person game.
You're playing a game from 1990.
No,
Frank, all I'm saying, just at me and say, we're pushing, girl, get on. I'll be like, yes.
No, because
every time I get on, you're all on alt screen 10.
No.
What?
You know what happens? Get online. Oh, hey, Haywire. Oh, hey, Lithian. Yeah, I kind of want to play my priest. Oh, that's cool. That's fine. And then we just start going. But if you were in there and you said, hey, guys, what are you doing? We'd be like, you know what? Maybe we should fucking push because this little dickhead over here won't stop screaming about resilient 15s.
When I get in Discord, nobody says, oh, now we can push. That has never happened in my life. Okay.
I mean,
and 2, just at me.
Now we can watch Scrappy at the bottom of the meters while we try to push keys.
Let's be honest.
That's what goes through my mind when I see you pop on.
Yeah, no, they're like, oh fuck, now we have to go play alts. No, I want resilient 15 before the end of this patch.
We can get
power.
We can get it. We
need dedication. Hold us to it, viewers.
You can't tell us we need dedication when you're the one not around.
At me, at me. I'm always on the
goddamn game from 1989.
Dude, Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 slaps. It's fucking awesome. Dude, I looked at my Steam hours on that. I have like 180 hours.
In fairness, it is a great game. It is a great game.
It's such a good game, dude.
But let's not go down that path.
Let's not go. I didn't make a timestamp for it, so we're not going to go down the path.
So with 11.1.7 launching in 2 weeks, I want to kind of get to a little bit of. I'll start with not the overall story I want to take from this episode, but it kind of leads into the problem with what the overall story is. There was a story that came, not a story, a interview that came out. The title of the Wowhead article is Patched But Day Bugs, Fun Detected Nerfs, But Why Though, right? And so they interviewed Maria Hamilton and Paul Cubitt, I think is how you pronounce it. And this has stood out to a lot of people right here, this quote right here. Please come play PTR. Now, this is in reference to not only some of the nerfs that they've been putting in, like, for example, Braun being, like, insanely good at tanking to start with, but also the pain points for what happened with 11.1.5, which was the night, what's it called? Is it Nightfall? Nightfall
Yeah,
event,
it's right in front of you.
which was broken. Oh, is it? What is somewhere in here? The Nightfall event, and on top of that, some other things that were just like severely busted at the start of the 11.1.5. The response seems to be, look, we need your help. Please come play the PTR. Okay.
Oh.
Which
You want me to come test your game?
I would
Incentivize me.
Yeah,
Incentivize
incentivize.
We will
Let
get
it
to
give us
that.
some mounts and stuff.
JB put a tweet out, and I'm sure other people said this too, but imagine Blizz had a bug reporting feature on the PTR that credited your account with free game time and or tokens for every bug you found while playing. Now, in fairness, someone responded who's a previous, I think they're a previous dev for WoW. From my tenure of exploring player reported bugs, I've spent more time exploring reports that weren't bugs than actually resulting bugs. Now, that isn't to say there isn't something to what JB is saying. He's just saying, like, hold on a second. One, like, a million of the same bug isn't going to be very helpful. And two, people could just report bugs to try to get free time, even though they're not bugs.
Yeah, but I feel like he's on the money that there needs to be an incentive structure, but it's not like per bug. It should be like per time played, per dungeons run, like whatever they're doing. How many times you've done the raid or something, you get credit towards
here's
something.
the other side of it too, right? So Nightfall, for example, if I got on the PTR, I'm not testing that. Me personally, right? And not to say other people wouldn't. So the problem is that they'll put, for example, the raid. They'll test the raid. I will try to get to that, although unfortunately they always test it during working hours, which sucks. But I get it. They're in the office too, so they can watch. But like, you know, I want to see how my class is shaping up. I want to test some of the changes they made. I want to see what the new dungeons look like, all that kind of stuff. But the problem is like, that's not really where they need. I mean, they do need help with the raid. They do need help with Mythic Plus, but they have enough help, it seems like, for the most part. And then they're really quick to tune and all that stuff. It's not broken. But the stuff that is broken on patch day isn't getting enough love. And so I think there has to be a merit to it. Like, hey, from, you know, let's just say from Sunday to Thursday, if you engage with the Nightfall scenario, if you log tickets, even if it's just suggestions for what you want it to be better and or bugs, you might have some incentive program like player time or whatever it might be. I mean,
player time's fine. I feel like they give.
Tenders?
I was gonna say they could give us traders tenders, like, and that might push me into doing.
Do you think that would bring people like JB or any high end Mythic Plusers or whatever?
No, but this dork is already on the PTR. Like, let's be honest. Like,
can I play devil's advocate again real quick?
Go ahead, then.
I think anyone who has an issue with them saying come play PTR, if you genuinely feel like you need an incentive to do it, then you don't have any right to complain when it launches with bugs. You should just sit there and go, well, you know what? We're not incentivized to test it, so you know what? We're going to be understanding that, okay, they're going to need to fix it. And that's what you got to do. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't say, no, I'm not going to help you test that and then bitch about it every time it's not right.
Well,
intend to eat it, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like, oh, you can't.
People say small indie company, but but they're a big company that's not only working on this, they're working on like 2 other games that are all like continuously getting updates all the time. Like, it's great. Like but you can't test that.
But
they have dedicated resources to this game, right? For one, but the other thing is, if you're asking me, so you want me to take my time, which I have a family, you know, I have a full-time job. You want me to take my time playing this game to go out and do some testing for you because you don't have the resources to do it yourself. I need to be incentivized to go do that, right? Because now I'm allocating my own time to go do that. But I know on release day, if there's going to be bugs, like I'm also not going to lose my mind and say, hey, this is crazy. I'm not going to play this game.
But here's where I'm going to say I agree with you that if you want an incentive, that's completely reasonable. But I think the reason why they said this specifically is it's kind of a snarky thing. Like, hey, you're going to complain about this. Why are you not testing it then? Like, you know, it's just, I think it's their way of.
There's no other game that I have to test before I buy it. Like, I'm not like on Elden Ring PTR before I spend $60 on a game, and they're like, "Well, it's bugged because you didn't test it."
How many Elden Rings? How many tests have Elden Ring have before it was even released?
I didn't know. I didn't get a.
How many patches did it have? It had like maybe 1 or 2 balance patches.
This is apples to oranges for just a second, right?
Okay. I don't know anything about game dev, so.
Well,
but that's just me as the consumer, how I see it.
Because Scrap, like, one, let's use Elden Ring as an example. There's only so many ways to approach how you play the game that like you as they have a QA team with Elden Ring, they do have a QA team with WoW. It may not be big, and you could argue it to be bigger, of course. But like there are people that would say, okay, well, I can't like burrow underground and then come up under the boss kind of thing in Elden Ring. Like I have to walk up, and if the boss is working, the boss is working, right? There's no layers on top of that. With WoW, not only is there layers into just like how I play the game, whether it be Mythic Plus Raid or, you know, there's like different games within the game. But there's also 20 years of game underneath it that keeps continuously getting resurfaced, whether it be because, hey, I need to, you know, look at Horrific Visions. I need to use Stormwind again. And this is where I always have empathy for developers, because you sit down and you talk to everyone like, what do we need to consider? We need to consider all this stuff, and it's, you know, lines upon lines of code. It's like, hey, did Stormwind get, you know, any visual updates since then? Blah 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 blah. And they miss something, and it's not only that they miss something, but they miss something that like no one would have thought of it with the foresight to say, like, you know, you don't get to sit there and be an armchair quarterback and give hindsight, right? The Nightfall example is a good one because it worked on the PTR as far as I could tell. Right.
If that wasn't related to the PTR, then why are they saying come play the PTR?
Because here's the thing, Scrap. So here's the thing.
They're just blaming us for their problems.
No, they're just trying to say like we can't stress test it, and that's where I get frustrated with the QA argument. Like it's the reason why. Well, there's two reasons why, and we talked about this in a previous episode. Part of it is that maybe their process for how they cut the patch and then they re-implement that patch into the main game is what causes the problem. I think that's what happened with the Nightfall scenario. Is like there was some code that was added in a, let's say, a hotfix that broke it, that wasn't, you know, whatever. You didn't. The other side of it though is stress testing it, right? So even when they say, hey, like the beta for the next expansion is going to come out and they want to stress test the servers and do the starting zone, I would say there's probably not that many people involved with it. And that's where they're going to say, like, guys, come on, please help us do the raid testing. We told you it's going to be 3:00 on this day. I know that may not be a good time for everyone, but like, please come and push this boss to its limit and try to do things that we didn't think of, because that's, you know, I think of Lich King in Wrath of the Lich King. They had the, you know, one of the engineering toys or engineering items that like broke the boss. No one would have known that at the Blizzard HQ because they would have never thought of that. Whereas, you know, the Race to World Firsters would have. But the other side of the problem, and this is against Blizzard, is there are things that go into the patch that were reported on the PTR and were not acted upon. Now, Lithian, you with experience in this, I'm sure you know, like whenever, let's say 1,000 bugs are reported, you know you can't get everything squashed before it goes live. And you have to make a decision. Is this enough of an issue to not let the game ship because it's broken? Or is it okay that, you know, just for example, I know Roar always talks about how Monk is broken, right? Like Monk is broken for X, like, you know, I don't know, Earth, Wind, and Fire doesn't do X, Y, and Z, and it's broken. Yeah, but the game's still functioning. I know it's not great. I know it's not what you want, but it's a low priority. We're not going to get to it just yet, right? I mean, that doesn't excuse
you go through some.
Go
no, you go through some acceptance testing, and there are certain bugs that you know you're going to release with that aren't detrimental to the functionality of the game or whatever, and that's fine, right? The challenge I have is like, what was that game? The Mythic Plus game that we all tried?
Fellowship.
Yeah, Fellowship. Fellowship went out and they wanted to do a stress test, so they created this event, and everybody kind of jumped on, and we all played it for a while, and they super promoted it, right? That's kind of a one-time thing. I think if they really need people to stress test, there's other ways to stress test, by the way, but whatever. If they really need people to come on and stress test, because that's the only way that this 20-year-old code base can actually do a stress test, then I still think, you know, there's got to be some sort of incentive attached to it.
Besides guilt.
Besides saying don't guilt
this is your fault,
because I don't care.
No, I want to be clear. I fully support the idea that there should be some sort of incentive. I don't know if trader tenders will be it though. Scrap.
Well, I mean, it would work
Dinars
enough
would be though.
something like that would be.
Dinars.
Well, Dinars that would be necessary. See, I wouldn't want something like that. It would have to be something that's like not required, not power related, right? But I just
Yeah.
like let the insane. What I'm thinking is that, like, let's say hypothetically there's this game that's 20 years old that can only be stress tested by people playing the PTR. Like, it's dependent on people playing the PTR for a patch release, like, reasonably
Well,
bug free. Then they need to have a reason for people to play the PTR besides just saying, "Well, you didn't do it, so your game
the
sucks."
other,
Like,
well, the other issue with a code base that's 20 years old is you have a lot of seniors that have a lot of institutional knowledge, but those folks age off and they move on to other things,
Or they get hired,
and you
they move to
lose.
another company.
Right, they move to another company, you lose that institutional knowledge, and now the bugs that crop up sometimes are as a result of the loss of that institutional knowledge in that space, right? So they end up having to figure out how to reverse engineer some old code
Mhm.
and make it work, right? That's not easy. Like, I see that all the time
It's
in the
insanely
job.
difficult.
Yeah, like the companies I work at, they all have these old code bases, and you got people just retiring off or getting laid off, unfortunately, and you lose that knowledge.
Even if it was good code at
So
the time, it's like the Christmas lights of code that came around it have just made it buried that you can't really make sense of it heads or tails because of how long it's been and everything that's layered on top of it as well.
yeah, it's tough.
And I say all that not because, again, like I want to be empathetic to the fact that the players should be respected to be brought in and said, like, hey, let's make this fun, whatever it is, make this worth their while. I agree with that. But I also think that a part of the reason why this is even just being discussed is because when 11.1.5 came out, which by the standards of, let's say, the past X amount of expansions, 5 expansions, it may be one of the most buggy and I'm putting air quotes on this, broken patches in a while. But the game still functioned fairly strongly, like 99% functionality. Is that a fair?
yeah.
Right?
I didn't.
Nightfall was the most
had
egregious
some
of
enjoyment.
examples, right? And I think they had it fixed within, let's call it 2 to 3 days. Yeah? I'm not certain of that, but
It was a bad, like, combination because they were like, hey, we have this patch and you're not going to get it all at once. You're just going to get a little bit at a time. And the little bit that they gave us was broken. And it's like, okay, this patch is nothing. What the fuck?
well, and
Like,
so
it was a bad combination of that.
this leads me to my next point, because where we did see, and I'm surprised to see it, of people jumping on the PTR to test for the upcoming patch is the new rotation assistant. Now, we've already talked heavily about that. I don't want to dive too much into it, right? But I've been hearing tons of people going on to the PTR to test not only their classes and specs, rotational assistant, and how it feels, but I saw on Twitter someone was saying, like, yeah, I Elemental Shaman, 9 out of 10. It felt really fun. This is totally casual gameplay, and I love it. I can sit on the couch and do X, Y, and Z, right? And so, like, they are getting people to test these things. But the reason why this is so important going forward is because there was a we heard about this in a Wowcast with Dratnos and Max talking about the future of add-ons, and then there was a interview in PC Gamer about, like, what those proposed adjustments are going to be. Okay, and here are some call-outs of things that will be let's call it issues. So incoming heals won't be trackable. And I think what they mean by this, IO, you know better than anyone, is like if I were to click a heal on Cell, for example, I would see like a percentage of what I can expect to see it healed up with. Is that right?
So incoming heals is, let's say you're casting a longer heal, like a healing surge or
Holy
like
Light.
a holy light.
Yeah.
It'll kind of highlight on the health bar like a little faint how much health they're going to get from it,
right? Like a bubble.
So if you're looking at it, you'll kind of be like, okay, someone else got this person, maybe I can heal someone else. But honestly, it's not something. This is actually probably one of the least interesting of them, because even then, like, it's not really something that really affects your decisions that much. You usually,
or if it is, you're just like insanely quick on the, you know.
Yeah,
well, chances are you've already made the decision, and
it's probably you don't really see it in Mythic Plus. You'd see it more in Raid, and I think at that point, like, yeah, like Lithian said, you've already kind of decided what you're gonna do, so you're just doing it anyways. So I don't think that'll have as much of an impact as some of the other things you'll see on this list.
Yeah, and the other thing, I'm just gonna jump straight to the one that is the most concerning. No, where is it? So it was the no more being able to see your party's
Yeah, the Omni
cooldowns.
CD
Where
thing.
where is
Yeah.
it? I'm missing it.
Oh, so you can't say like, "Oh, Scrap, you still have your kick. Why didn't you kick?"
Or you can't say
Kinda,
like,
yeah.
I know what your buffs. You know, what's
I know
what's.
tracking group ability or other players' cooldowns is the second one.
Good news for
Oh,
me.
yeah,
But wait,
here we
how's
go.
like a priest supposed to know who to PI then? Like,
So that's actually Scrap.
Well-
It's funny you say that because that's the one that they keep going like that's where it's a problem, right?
I mean, to me, that's the first thing that comes to mind. Like, because I don't care when Lithian's popping his cooldowns. Like, but a priest would want to know who's got cooldowns for this or who's got that. Also, like, can you track
But-
defensive? Like, other people's like a healer needs to track
that's
defensive.
Well, okay, so let's break this into two parts. Let's start with the defensives one. The
Yeah.
truth is that yes, there is a argument for why you'd want to track a defensive. However, from what I can gather, and I personally also am in this boat, it really is more of like you just see after the fact, like, oh, you didn't use a defensive, as opposed to shot calling defensives, like, hey, get ready to use this, get ready to use this. I installed Omni CC because I wanted to be able to do that as a healer, but like I just, and again, I'm not the best healer by any means, but like I don't have that capacity to be like thinking 6 chess moves ahead to say, okay, here comes the big AoE part. Scrap doesn't have this, you know, Lithium doesn't have that, blah blah. And like being able to compute that quickly in the moment. Oh, by the way, like I'm supposed to be healing everyone at the same time because they're taking damage right away. Like that's just like a level of play that only the top 1% of healers.
So here's where I'm picturing like in a pug, because it's something we communicate with each other, is that like, let's say there's a boss and it's got 2 big like damage output moments, AoE output moments. I'll ask, Haywire, are you using SLT on this one or the next one? He'll say on this one. Okay, cool. If I was in a pug, I could see that the healer has SLT up and I could be like, okay, he's probably gonna use it on the first one. So then I'll save my defenses for the second one, you know?
Sure.
Yeah.
That
She doesn't
seems
use it
like
and
it's
dies.
good. Well,
hold on, but
well, like,
Scrap,
but I'm just
like-
saying that's like if I was in a pug and I was really trying to keep track of that shit.
But
Yeah, sorry, go on.
is there a way that that can be solved for without the add-on? Is the major like turning point here?
If there was something I could turn on and turn off that shows, like, I can say I would like to see these abilities, like if a healer, like I could do a checkbox and say like, oh, I want to see if SLT is up, I want to see if
So here's
Priest
the
up.
argument, Scrap.
Yeah.
The game is becoming harder and harder, and the devs have to, this arms race, they have to make things, you know, SLT required, example, because of the add-ons that tell you this information in your group. Whereas what they want the gameplay loop to be is that you guys talk to each other, right? Whether it be physically, like, you know, vocally talking, or whether it be chatting via text, right? The game has an in-game chat ability. Like, you can talk to people in-game. And Growl, I think, said this on the bench, like, this, if you have the ability to, you know, not only group as a friend group and of course push, but like just get into Discord with a pug, your chances of success go up immensely. And it has nothing to do with the add-ons, and the add-ons are also breaking other parts of the game, for example PvP, because I can see everyone's cooldowns and then I go, okay, now I'm reacting to that, you know?
Yeah. I will say it just seems like a weird move for them to say we want to push you guys to Discord, because there's a lot of people who are successful pugging because of like in like higher keys without Discord.
Well,
obviously it's easier without it, but
so I actually tweeted back at JB because JB made a comment about this too. He's like, interrupt tractors are required to do high-end keys, blah blah blah, and arguably that's true, but the problem is like, they're not saying they're not going to fix the other side of the equation of difficulty of the, you know, dungeon, for example. They've made it clear that they want to change the encounters and make it so that you don't also need to worry about interrupt tracking. But my point was, if I'm in a point of a dungeon where it's required to have interrupt trackers because that's how hard the dungeon is, isn't that the point of an infinitely scaling system of like, there will be a ceiling at some point, and if you're using a computational add-on to solve the problem, taking the add-on away will just lower the bench for everyone, or the ceiling for everyone.
It's
and
even.
it will become a different type of challenge, right? It's not harder or easier. It's a different harder or easier.
yeah.
This doesn't bother me as much as what's on the next tab, where they're talking about the removal of things like details damage, the thing that we use to track damage and everything else, and some of the other.
Here's an example. So Nagi made a list of like the top add-ons. You can't really see it, but I'll put it in.
Wait, so I'm a bit confused. Maybe I missed this. Are they just saying no more add-on support at all?
No.
Okay,
they're saying they're building stuff in, and they're removing access to information from these external add-ons. So the add-ons wouldn't have the ability to dip in and see other people's abilities and things like that. Whereas today, like your add-ons can dip pretty deep into how some of these things function, and it gives you an advantage, right? And they're not saying they're removing add-ons altogether, but what they are saying is you could still have your add-ons, but your add-ons won't be able to access the same amount of information as it can today.
In general, I think it's good. That's good, because I think add-ons have kind of gone like really far, but at the same time, but at the same time, they have to build in. Like then I have to trust Blizzard to tell me the information I didn't know, and historically they've not been good at that.
They take away details, and you have to do their damage meter, or
I'm fine with that.
They take away DBM, and you actually have to know when to do what you're supposed to do.
I haven't
you don't
had
have
DBM
somebody
in 2
telling
months,
you.
and I've been good. The problem I have, well, I've been good. The problem I have is I need weak auras, and a lot of the weak auras I have is just taking a buff that's up here, putting it here in front of my face, maybe making it glow or something, or show the stat count, because they don't show me that information. They put it way up here, and it's necessary to play my class well.
Yeah, but that's going to be in the cooldown manager, so they're already working on that.
They're working on.
But so they so for one, they integrated like bartender into like when you could customize the UI, but they didn't give you access to moving those things around.
Yet,
so I don't trust them.
Listen.
Okay, I'm listening.
So this was obviously people were up in arms of concern, right? So in the Discord for weak auras, add-on development, and weak auras actually tweeted this out. They made some clarifications. So this is the bullet points based on Wowhead. No target date for changes. There's several months of advance notice before the time comes to shut things off. So they'll give plenty of notice. They want to give add-on devs as much time as possible to test changes, report issues, and provide feedback. There's no intent to ban add-ons outright, which we've already covered. They aim to minimize impact on accessibility add-ons as much as possible. Functionality that is no longer possible after the changes should be incorporated into the base game. So that's kind of like a requirement, which they've said multiple times. There will be a number of significant updates and additions to the UI, including a built-in game damage meter, nameplate improvements, and good portion of the most important combat information currently provided.
Is huge.
Yeah,
because the Blizzard nameplates were really bad.
But Frank, here's the problem I have. Okay.
Well, let me finish this list real quick.
Go ahead.
Most functionality should ship at the same time as the add-on restriction, if not sooner. So they will not remove add-ons until 100% ship. Mythic rating has become increasingly reliant on add-ons, but these changes are not made being specifically because of the race to world first. Add-ons are currently being used to analyze and solve combat and coordination mechanics better and faster than an unassisted player, resulting in a major disadvantage and exclusion for players unwilling to install, like Haywire. Blizzard's intent to level the playing field and make the game more approachable for all players, and by reining these in these capabilities while building up the baseline functionality and default UI. There will be substantial changes to combat and counter designs to accompany these, i.e. make it easier. The goal is to make class mechanics more approachable and easier to understand without the add-ons, so weak auras as an example, and they want WoW to remain challenging but less about managing the subtleties of the class mechanics and more about the communication with players. And that's not just like communications between players. That's how they communicate spells, for example, and interacting with the encounter. I'm sorry, Lithan, I cut you off.
No, the issue I have is, I'll use details as an example, right? I use details not only to measure my personal performance, because I'm a tank. It doesn't matter. But I measure performance by looking at the auras and seeing how long certain things were up and how many times I use certain abilities. When they start talking about overlaying their own damage meter, what the cooldown manager taught me was the quality of work that they produce within their UI compared to what the community created with details, I feel like is going to be so different to where I'm not even going to be able to really accurately measure my performance as a tank because I won't have access to the same amount of information.
So
and that's challenging for me
I agree.
as a player.
The thing is that they've already acknowledged the cooldown manager is not where it needs to be. So there's still work to be done, right? And they haven't restricted cooldown, weak auras or anything like that yet, of course.
No.
What I want to be like I think the stance they're trying to take is their damage meter may not do what Details does, as you said, buff tracking, for example. But they're not going to stop Warcraft logs, as an example, of allowing you to do that same thing. Yes, there might be an additional step. You might not like that step. But in fairness, it is very easy to upload to Warcraft logs right now, and add-ons would allow that, and they wouldn't restrict it, right? And besides, you're already doing that too, right? Most of the time, at least. So, like, there's still that dissecting of how do I, min-max everything, which I think they support the idea of trying to improve yourself like that. What they don't want to have happen, though, is they're not going to, for example, I know explosive orbs used to be a thing in the game, right? And Details has an explosive orbs add-on to count who's killing orbs. I don't think they want to encourage that part of the game, which is a fair, it's like a toxic thing. But they did say that they want to incorporate like, interrupt tracking and kick CCs and stuff like that. So I would say that obviously we're far away from seeing this, like from them restricting Details. We're far, far away from that. But I would also say this goes back to my point of the PTR, right? Everyone's gotten onto the PTR to see the rotational assistant. And there are people out there who are obviously vehemently against the idea of the rotational assistant. But from what I can tell, and I even did my own arcane test and I was poo-pooing it, but that's because I was poo-pooing it for the sake of DPS. But I wasn't looking at it through the lens of, this is not for me, it's for the person who wants to sit like 20 feet away and put on a 100-inch screen and just like play. It works beautifully for that. And it could replace Akili today if it really needed to, right? And only imagine that they say like, hey, based on the feedback on the PTR, we're going to allow you to actually even, tweak the API or whatever it is that, changes this. Or, hey, we're actually going to give you guys, the class discords, the ability to tell us this is what you want to change about the API or whatever. Like that could be a thing that could happen if the players go in and, overwhelmingly get on the forums and put bugs in, or not bugs, but feedback into the PTR and all that stuff. So like that kind of stuff should be happening. It should be happening when Details comes out. But Lithium, let's be honest, would you get on the PTR and give them that feedback directly about Details not, or the new damage meter not having damage to skull as an example?
You give them Trader's Tender?
Give me something.
No, I get what you're saying about the pay thing, but like, would you be upset if it wasn't there in the base UI? But would you put the effort in to get on the PTR and tell them that you want it?
I mean, this is one of those things where now you're impacting the way the game plays, and I'd want to be able to understand what those changes are before I have to actually perform in the live game, right? I probably would pop on. I looked at cooldown manager. I wasn't impressed, and I decided I wasn't going to use it. I didn't look at the one button rotation because I already knew that wasn't for me. But I do agree it's a good feature for certain players, and I would never dismiss the fact that it probably is needed to reduce the complexity for new folks coming in. But yeah, no, there's some things I would love to go onto the PTR and play with, but if they're going to mess with the add-ons to some of the ways that are articulated on this page, I'd probably go check it out and see what it's like.
I mean, obviously the damage meter, the damage meter doesn't really have an impact to your gameplay other than maybe, making you react if you see something like, why am I not doing DPS?
It really, yeah, it's not the damage. It's not the damage as much as it is the data behind the damage and the data behind the healing and all that stuff. If I could take and still upload my logs to Warcraft logs or create my own analyzer, if I really wanted to do that, like I want to have the ability to go do that so that I can be a better player. But I don't care what the damage is on the screen.
Well, I mean, let me chime in here, because if you're a newer player
Scrap,
and you're getting
as a
into
person
like.
who's third on the meters every time, what is your
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm
What-
coming
what-
for you. You've been really, we've been really close, and you need to be afraid. Well, all I need is
What?
that one screenshot of me ahead of you, and I've gotten close.
Am I Lithian? Should I be worried about her?
No, don't worry
Yes.
about it. It's
Next
fine.
key, it's over for you.
It's fine.
Yeah.
What's
Okay.
your point?
You're making me lose my point. Okay, is that let's say you're a newer player, you get into Mythic Plus, you get into a 10, and you get into a key and it fails, and you're trying to figure out, well, what happened? Okay, I see that the damage looked good, but there's so many other things, like the interrupts, the healing, like the cooldowns, the stuff that you can just quickly tab through on details. And if they're saying that they want this to be like, a lower barrier for entry, I feel like clicking through details and just seeing, oh, here's the interrupts, is a lower barrier for entry than uploading the log, and you have all this information and you don't even know, where do I see the interrupts, where do I see like the healing? I can't make heads or tails of this. It's much more complex than just looking and at your details. I mean, ideally they could, in details, they need to implement like the healing, the interrupts, like the CCs and stuff like that. But like I also use a lot, if I like get in a key with somebody playing my class and let's say they're pumping or doing something different or whatever, I'll look at their breakdown compared to mine, and it's very easy to process compared to like looking at a log where it might be a little bit more
I compare
Do you think it's
all
easier
the
to
time.
find that information in details than it is in
The
Warcraft
level of
logs?
information I'm looking for, yes. Like I'm not looking at, I don't want like I don't need like the huge amount of information. I just want the basics. Like, how was his uptime compared to mine? Just click, boom.
But you can see that on Warcraft
How many
logs.
times do you cast it? Yeah, but there's so much more shit.
Warcraft logs is hard for Scrap.
But I'm just saying, if you're talking about
She
lower
just wants
barrier
like
for
a
entry,
green bar. It says, you're doing fine, move
Yeah.
on.
yes, but I'm just saying, if you're talking about lower barrier for entry, I feel like what they have with details is a pretty low
Well,
barrier for entry.
And that
it-
functionality exists in their details.
Yeah,
It may.
if I go on to
Click on
PTR,
the PTR and tell them.
I'm
yeah,
not
if I
doing
go on to
that.
PTR and I see that there's some good information that comes across their UI for the details replacement or whatever, I'd
They're talking to
probably be
Scrap when I
fine.
put this.
Yeah,
This is
Scrap-
exactly.
I'm talking to them.
They did say, Scrap, please come play the PTR.
I'm
Oh,
talking to them.
God.
The PTR is not fun for me. I'm not gonna pay to play your unfun game. Like, give me Trader's Tender, and maybe I'll play your unfun game. That's how I play the regular game. So.
Yeah.
Well,
Anyway.
sorry, go on, Lithian. You were saying something.
No. I think we beat this thing up pretty good.
You beat it up, yeah. Well, I just
you've
want to
been
say
quiet.
that. Oh, yeah, go on. Sorry, I'm done. I know I've
Are
not
you?
been quiet.
Io?
Oh, you're talking to me. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was
Could you
trying to-
not
I was
hear me
trying to
over
change
Scrap
my-
shouting, I'm done?
No, what did you ask me? Sorry.
I was just saying, do you have any thoughts on this? As a healer, how's this going to concern you?
Yeah, the Omni CD stuff, it doesn't really bother me because I agree with what a lot of people say. I feel like the amount of times that's actually ever come up is not as high as it should be compared to like a higher level group. So I'm not too worried about that kind of stuff. If we're in a group and we're trying to push something, we can communicate. If I'm in a pug, I'm probably not trying to do something that crazy anyway, so it'll be fine. As long as they work stuff into the base game or they keep some of the ones that are already using the ones that let you customize UI, I'm cool with. And if they are doing a bigger kind of cleanup where they're taking add-ons out that are going to give you information that is what some people view as essential to play the game, then they definitely need to scale back some of the mechanics, because especially in raiding, like this tier especially, there's been a lot of bosses that I think would be infinitely more difficult without weak auras, so it'd be better for them to figure out a way to get it to work without it and then implement it. So that's all.
Yeah. Again, we'd have to wait and see, because what I'm worried about in this case of like making the encounters easier because of this information, what will happen is, two things might happen. The first is it'll be easier at first, and then it'll kind of like return back to the level of difficulty, but now we don't have the add-ons.
Yeah.
But I'm not necessarily too worried about that. I don't think they wouldn't do that unless they're being like, trying to destroy their game. The other though is that like Max brought this up on their podcast. If let's say they were to take out the ability to track timers, right? What would end up just happening is that someone would make like this, secondary app that would
you would have up.
you type in all the information, and then it would, like he said, would make a YouTube video that would just open up on a second monitor that would just have a timer, and then that would be speaking to you instead of weak auras. But at the same time, that's a race to world first kind of problem.
Yeah.
However, I ask you be in this boat as a Mythic Raider. Would your team probably feel like pressure to go on ahead and do what they're doing? And let's say they released it as like the liquid YouTube page or whatever, where you just hit start, right?
If it's gonna make the fight, like I think Max says it, if something's like a 90% success, but it's 99% with a weak aura, you just make the weak aura because you want to do it successful every time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think 100% they would want to use that. So if you'd have to make it so you almost not necessarily don't require it, but make it so it's a fun to do and not super difficult to do without it, essentially.
Yeah. The fear I have is that there's already like rotational things after playing the game for like a couple years that sometimes in a season they miss on. Like I'm thinking of that one Fury Warrior 4 set where like you had to have an add-on to tell you when you hit a certain crit percentage threshold to tell you when you needed to press this button. It was like a 4 set thing, and they didn't communicate that anywhere on your own UI. So you had to have a weak aura to do that. And I feel like there's small things like that, like in survival, where it's like I have these little tiny buffs up here, but I really need them up down here.
Again, they're not changing that.
Okay, but they're not changing that at all?
That kind of stuff they're sticking with.
Is that set?
Not everything's being
you
destroyed,
can-
Scrap.
I mean, nothing's set.
No, because isn't I mean there's
They're
like
not going scorched earth.
there's weak auras that are like Hikili. Like you can have weak auras that
I have
just
a weak
tell
aura
you
as an arcane mage that tells you when you should use barrage or not.
Yeah, but I'm just saying like there are weak auras that I feel
gosh.
like push into the direction that they're trying to squash. Like they
Yeah,
don't want you to
but-
use things
Well,
like
no.
They
that.
literally say here, the goal is to make class mechanics more approachable and easier to understand without the add-on.
I just feel
Right.
like they've failed at that before. And that also, like, we do see when they have, like, 17 classes or whatever, or different specs, there's more
Yeah,
than that,
but-
there's, like, a ton, that there's always, like, ones that get fucked, because,
Of
like,
course, of
Roar with
course,
the
Scrap.
monk and stuff,
Like,
and I
with-
it's fine
With all
now.
the spinning plates, let's say there's 13 classes and 39 specs. If
Yeah.
you keep 38 plates from breaking, but one breaks, all the people talk about is the one that broke, right?
Yeah.
And it's like,
Well,
look,
unless there's only one person who plays the broken plates.
it's survival, right? Unless it's
I'm
survival.
just saying, I've played the broken plate spec for a very, very long
Look,
time, and
no,
so
no,
that I'm
I-
afraid.
I played Arcane. I played Arcane. I'm in my moments
I know
in the
you do.
sun right
I know
now.
you do.
Your
You
moment
get
was
it
in the
too.
Sun and Shadowlands, okay? But
Yeah.
what I'm saying is that there are going to be things that are wrong, right? They fuck it up, right?
Yeah.
But I think what from what I gather, all three of you agree, and most of the community agrees. Everything they're saying on paper sounds like yes, we should do this, right? Are we all in agreement on that?
I like the
Yeah,
one button
I'm
thing.
fine.
I like removing Hikili. It's overdue that they have put a damage meter in the game for sure.
Yeah, that's definitely for sure.
Yeah, that's so fucking overdue.
Bums me out.
And I like the dedication to the design philosophy of that, like, hey, like, we don't want you to have to use DBM to play. Like, we're trying to give you all the information you need. Like, that should be also in the game. You know what I mean?
You know what?
So it's
You know
a
what,
good
Scrap?
direction. I just have fears.
I'll be excited to not see that dumb seagull pop up on your screen for
And
no
no, it
reason.
doesn't. It doesn't work anymore.
Scrap.
But that's an example of something that I made a weak aura for, and then the next season they were like, "Oh, hey, we added like a buff for that, so that you can actually track it." And now I don't need the seagull because I just look and I see, oh, I have the buff. I'm good.
No,
you know
but
what I
Scrap.
mean?
So here's the thing. Let's use Plaguefall as an example, right? So
Let's talk about Plaguefall. I
Oh.
love Plaguefall.
Plaguefall, last boss, right, has the
Yeah.
tentacle slams.
Yeah.
At the time, weak aura does nothing for you on that, right? It doesn't say like you're safe, you're not safe. You
Yeah,
have
I
to
don't
play the game.
remember. Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll tell you it's coming. Maybe I don't
So
remember.
what they're saying is they want to make more gameplay like that.
Yeah.
But what they also, and they have already acknowledged this, is It wasn't clear though when you were or weren't going to get hit by a tentacle based on what you
Yes.
thought was going to happen.
And they
so
have done a fabulous job with the new circles.
So
oh my god!
look at that plate, right? That plate has been spinning, and they've done, and they're not perfect, but they've done a significantly better job this season of conveying that information. And
I give them that
can
W 100%.
Yeah, right. So like they're trying to take those lessons, and should you give them the benefit of the doubt? Okay, I understand being reluctant, but they have had some really good wins, and they've made it very clear they're not going to rush into this. They're going to take the ever-loving time, because, you know, I would think making a damage meter for the game isn't that difficult.
The damage meters have been in the game since fucking classics, so I don't know why.
I would even argue, like, is it safe to say that making a Hikili add-on for the game is more difficult than making a details add-on for the game?
For sure, and I think it's also a lot more contentious, because like a lot of people don't like Hikili, and I would even say a lot of people don't use Hikili. I mean, I think we when we looked at the numbers of people who use Hikili, I was like shocked.
Well, it's just haywire.
No, but the reason why they did this might be an accessibility thing, and it also might be an Xbox thing.
The way they're implementing it, I think it's great. Well, like there's the delay and stuff, it's fine. But damage meters are something that everybody has and everybody likes.
Does Final Fantasy have a damage meter?
No, but everybody doesn't like that. I mean, like, you know what I mean?
There's a lot of players.
Well, you can't have add-ons easily. Like you have to have a lot of workarounds, and they will like fucking ban you.
Yeah, they'll ban you, but
damage meter, right? So
what I would say is I hope they learned a lot and did a good retro behind that cooldown manager, so that when they come at this, they do it a little bit better than what they did with the cooldown manager.
Listen, look at the rotational system, right? I mean, the one button and not, it doesn't matter. It honestly plays really well. Whether you like it or not is a different story, but it was built well. I haven't
tried that.
Well.
I haven't tried it, and I think the stuff I've seen on it, I mean, I just wouldn't use it, but I think it would be good. I think it'll be good when it comes out. But when I'm thinking about all this other stuff, I'm more thinking about like that cooldown manager and the way it was released, and the inability to do some of the basic things that people like to do. To cut, like Scrap keeps talking about moving something from up here to down here, right?
Yeah, that's all I need. Please, that's all I need.
If we have the ability,
I don't use the cooldown manager. So
not really.
Oh, for fuck's sake! She doesn't even know if it does or doesn't work.
I don't even know what a cooldown. What do you even use a cooldown manager for? To see if you have cooldowns up? Just look at the button.
No, it tracks your buffs too.
I don't.
It's a little clunky.
Thing you keep saying.
It definitely needs more.
Game.
Yeah,
that's what they're putting in.
But they'll do it wrong. I know they will. Like,
and look,
they already did it wrong. But
okay, well, then
hopefully they learn.
Scared. I'm getting more scared. You're getting me more scared.
Cooldown manager. What percent done is it? Do you think?
What's that?
What percent done? Like, you know, it's not done. Obviously, it's not where it needs to be. Hasn't crossed the finish line.
They have work to do.
I would say like 25%
done.
This is their first.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I hope they wouldn't show it at 25%.
No. 25%. It's 25% done. They have 75% left.
Scrap. What did you just say?
They add to make 3 times the amount?
If it's only 25% done, they shouldn't show it to us.
Yeah, I agree, but I don't think it's 25% done.
Yeah.
Okay. Hold on.
Put that bitch back in the oven, dude. Like, it's not ready.
Well, it's 75% done. You don't have to use it.
Yeah.
Like they haven't disabled anything that prevents you from, like, you don't have to use it, but if you do decide to use it,
buff it, you know.
Yeah, I think if you're a new player coming in and you have no add-ons at all and you've never touched a weak aura, I think it'll be great. Yeah. I think it's going to be awesome, right? And I think it for all intents and purposes, it does what it says it's going to do in kind of a clunky way, but that's because I'm biased based on right, because I have an experience bias because I've experienced all the goodness that you get from weak auras. There's a lot of players coming in that have never had that, and you got Haywire who doesn't touch add-ons for some reason.
Except Hikili.
Yeah, except for Hikili. Yeah. So, you know, like I think the cooldown manager is okay for that community, those people. But if you've had the luxury of some of the weak auras that people use, it's a really hard it's a hard transition.
No,
I don't know.
and-
Listen, your screen is unintelligible to me. I
The-
think you got too many.
but-
The
damn
developers
weaknesses.
or Ian has said like he doesn't expect to deliver everything that you would see in DBM as an example or weak ores, right? We won't see that, and that's he said that's okay. But what they want to do is they want to say like, hey, okay, so let's use cooldown manager as an example. Let's say they said it was done. Let's say boom, we're not doing anything else, right? Which they haven't. There are add-ons out there that kind of, I don't know if it's full functionality, but give it the remaining, I think 25%, not 75%, 25% functionality that it needs. And they didn't say that they were going to shut that off, right? They didn't say like, we're not allowing that.
Yeah, IO assured me that I can keep my weak auras, so I'm holding him to that.
Well, you might not be able to keep all your weak aura, Scrap.
Then I'm out. Then I don't like it.
I'm good. Here's the deal. I'm good until they come out and say I have to do, like, if they put me into a box and say I have to do this and I don't have any other option,
Yeah.
then maybe I have to figure out how to adapt to that if I want to continue playing the game, right? But like, I mean, that's just what the reality is, right?
Let's say they came out with a damage meter tomorrow that's damage meter light, right? Let's say it's like recount. Okay.
That wouldn't hurt my
recount.
Yeah, I used recount for a long time. I think
and
it
then they
was
told you the
reasonably.
day after that you had to shut off all other add-ons.
Oh, shut off all their add-ons.
Yeah,
With just the recount?
that's
So-
the challenge.
Here's
Yeah.
the thing. I think
Would you get
they're
panicked?
adding.
I would panic about the weak aura thing because my class is not
No, not weak
playable
or scrap.
without, like,
Okay,
weak
you were
auras.
saying something. Scrap's
No,
gonna talk about
yeah,
weak
no,
auras
you're
more.
fine. So I think what they're trying to do is they still want us to have access to things like weak auras and details, but what they want is a way for someone who's just coming into the game to have it in a way they can integrate it quickly, so they don't need to worry about, oh, where do I get this? Where do I get this? Oh, how do I set up this spaceship UI? Everyone says.
Yeah.
So you just get that real quick. So I'm cool with that, but I think let the people who understand like weak auras and all that still let us like if you got to disable some things because you don't want certain things accessible, certain information for how you want to design fights, that's fine, but let us keep our ability to make the UI how we want it and all that.
Like the way I look at it is they'll make weak auras still function in the sense that maybe you can see that you're safe, like the dog boss and Mecha workshop. Like they'll probably allow that because it's just confirming, you're safe, right? But what they won't allow to do is to say, I'm trying to think of another boss, but like it won't allow you to say like if you stand here, then you'll bait something. So go stand over on this marker, right? That's the kind of functionality they want to limit.
Does that functionality
the
exist?
issue I have,
Yes,
but the issue I have though is if you read this page and you look at the bullet right before where they're talking about the damage meter. The next bullet says most of this functionality should ship at the same time the add-on restrictions ship, if not sooner. Now, my challenge with that line implies that if they're going to ship a damage meter, then they're going to restrict the add-on, which is details, right? That's where I got that whole details example from.
Yeah.
It's because of the way they word it. Again, we're at this. We're at the mercy.
For the wording.
Do you think they'll ban details? I don't.
Well, it says add-on restrictions, and now I'm like,
not all of
well,
them though. They're just saying when they restrict.
Some of the information they can grab, but not everything.
But my point is, if they're releasing a damage meter, and they're talking about shipping functionality, and then they turn around and say add-on restrictions, it makes me feel like they're going to restrict details, right? And say, hey, you can't use details anymore. You have to use this.
This is a bullet written by Wowhead, by the way, so don't.
I'm not saying I don't. It doesn't matter who wrote it. I'm just saying the way I read it.
He made it clear. He's like, look, not everything will be restricted, right? We are trying to, in this case, I think this is like we're trying to make it so people don't have to download an add-on to get a damage meter, which is a completely reasonable thing to do.
That's fair.
There's no reason to restrict details in this case, other than maybe restricting the data it can access. So the example I think they even gave in the Wildcast was maybe details can't read the log as quickly, right? Maybe you won't get like real-time data, but you'll get the data.
Timegating details?
Oh my God.
Are you serious? You can't do that.
But that's That's what I would want to see on PTR. If I was,
Yeah, of
if
course,
they
of
were to
course.
say, "Hey, we're going to release this in PTR," 100%, I'd go check that out because that functionally changes the way I play the game.
But
Can I
I
just
also
make a
think they
point?
wouldn't
on.
restrict it immediately. They wait, like, hey, we're going to give it to you in 11.1.7.
Yeah.
Maybe by 11.2 we restrict it, but we want to see if this works, and if it works, cool, then we'll start restricting.
I just want to make a small point. Okay.
Oh my
Is-
gosh! Is it about
Anything
weak
but with
auras?
scrap, right?
No, it's not. In general, I'm supportive of this direction they're taking the game, but I'm nervous. It makes me scared.
of
And the
course you'd be
reason
nervous.
is because the previous story we talked about, they were bitching the game doesn't work if you guys don't use the PTR. It's just going to get worse and it's all your fault. And then they're implementing all this shit and it's like,
You
well,
put a lot of words in their mouth there, but okay.
well, okay, but I'm paraphrasing, but I'm just saying that this
If
also
you're gonna
hinges on
paraphrase,
this is-
say you can't complain if you don't come to the PTR.
Yeah, but they are kind of saying like our game being playable hinges on people playing the PTR. Yes or no?
No, the game is
No,
playable. We've already
no,
established that.
no.
11.1.5
Okay.
was the worst example, and it was still playable.
Okay. Playable is maybe exaggeration, but that there will be problems if that they're doing their quality assurance through the player base.
They're saying that.
By the way, hold on, time out real quick. Can I point out that at the start of this, before we started recording, I said, "Scrap, are you
Yeah.
going to sit like that?" And you said yes. And you
I'm sorry, I'm
slowly slouched
sorry.
down at
I'm
that point.
sorry, I'm
I only saw your eyes peeking above your name.
I knew it. I knew it was going to happen.
What
Is it like this is how I was sitting before?
A little to your right, but yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter anymore.
Okay,
Who cares?
there.
None of this matters.
You have to remind me. I'm gonna sit differently. I'm
I don't
bisexual.
blame
It's
you.
like in my nature.
Yes.
What?
Sorry.
What?
You guys haven't heard that?
All right.
No.
Anyways.
If they came out and said, "Hey, we're releasing this functional change to PTR," I guarantee that the PTR population is going to pop.
Absolutely.
Because people are going to want to come out,
Especially
and see
from the
this.
YouTube crowd.
Maybe not Nightfall because that was silly.
It
but
just makes
this,
me nervous because the previous story was like, we need more people playing the PTR because otherwise we have a hard time doing
Right.
bugs. And then they're like, we're
Trap.
going to introduce the most
People-
game-breaking stuff ever.
People
like,
will come out and test this stuff on PTR,
Well,
man.
hold on. Time out.
I won't.
Scrap. The bugs
What?
that we're
You
talking
see-
about aren't, hey, this, like, again, look at the rotational assistant. It's not like you're going to
Yeah.
hit the rotational assistant and Gallywix is
The
just going to
game
fall
explodes.
over, right? Yeah. Like,
Okay.
it's still going to be playable. Nightfall is the
Yeah.
perfect example because, like, people couldn't
Yeah.
finish the quest and it was fixed, days later.
Yeah.
The thing that they're trying to tell you, I don't think is, hey, please come or else we can't function and the whole game's going to break. No,
I'm
they're
just saying it
no.
makes me nervous. It makes me nervous.
If anything, they were saying a backhanded way of saying, like, look, there are going to be bugs. Just like, get over that. If you don't come to the PTR, and this is my words, not theirs, you don't get to complain, right? Like, and I think
Yeah, but
you
are
said
they
that too,
gonna-
right?
Are they going to do that about
Yeah.
this when this is bad?
Oh,
No, because
Scrap.
look at the
Frank,
rotational
Frank and
system.
I are
It's
going to
not
go to the
bad.
PTR.
I'm just
Frank and
nervous.
I will go to the PTR. We'll test it and we'll let you know how
The
it is.
But do you think
rotational
there's
system is
more-
like one of the more complicated things they could be doing, and they, in my opinion, knocked it out of the park.
Do you think there's more Franks and Lithians in the world or more Scraps in the world? Because I'm not going to play the PTR. That shit's
Scrap, there's
boring.
only one you in the world. Let's be fucking honest.
Yeah.
I know, but players like me who are very casual, that
No,
we
you're
don't
not
want to
casual.
play the game.
You are the antithesis of casual.
There
I
are-
think, but
Yeah, well,
How
I
many
think
hours do
there's
you have on Roller
enough.
Coaster Tycoon? You are
Yeah, but-
niche to the extreme.
you
there
were
are
complaining
players
that I
that-
don't play this game anymore.
Well,
I
no,
play a
no,
game.
that's not what I was
you know.
complaining. I was complaining about
Yeah,
that you're
yeah.
annoying, but that's
There-
neither here nor there.
But there-
Okay.
there's enough streamers and content creators that go out there and test this stuff and tell the community, hey, this is either going to be amazing or it's going to be terrible, right? And they'll
And that's
That's
not
what
the
we
feedback
do.
they're looking
Create.
for in PTR. The
Right.
feedback they're looking for is catch the bugs.
right. That's
Okay.
what they want on PTR. But these content creators are going to be out in front creating content around this
And-
anyway, and they're going to influence the community.
And if the
one
player
way or
housing
other.
has sold us anything, the content creators will probably see it before we even see it.
Yeah, 100%, they will.
Max has said it multiple
Unless-
times. Like, guys, what you need to do is you need to hire our weak aura team so that they can break your shit, right? Like, that's a good idea.
Yeah, they should do that. They should do that. Don't hire me to play your PTR. Hire
No, no,
people
no.
who know what
Good
they're
news,
doing.
Scraps. They're not hiring you.
We become we become a super large content creator and they invite us to go do it, then yeah, we get that early access too.
I looked at
won't
my
play it
watch.
unless they literally won't play it unless they give me Trader's Tender to play their early
I
access.
looked
So
at
give it
my
to
watch
Lithian.
about 40 minutes ago going, oh shit, we might have a short episode. And yet, here we are.
Well, the episode is done. Like
Let's
we
move
talked
on.
it
Let's
out.
just really quickly.
Yeah,
Scrap,
let's move on. Let's move
Yeah.
I
on.
hear this week's, this
Oh,
month's
the
Trader
trading
Tender.
post.
Yeah, is it good?
Oh,
Yeah,
gosh.
my purse is empty.
Yeah, I
blew it
cleared
all.
mine. I cleared mine out, dude.
The two armor sets, like you have to have both, right? Like you can't just have one. They both look really good, and then you need the mount that matches it, and that's
And all
expensive
the
as fuck.
weapons that
dude.
match it.
I had to stop at the weapons because I was like, I can't. I'm
tapped.
I've blown it all. I'm tapped. I didn't get the goat.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't spare
I didn't get
300.
the go.
What if next month is really good? Like
I did get this pole arm right here, or this
I
this
didn't
weapon.
get the elf stuff because I don't have any elves. But I pulled both the armor sets and the chimera because I need the matching chimera to the armor set. So like they got me. They fucking got me, dude. Please pay me Trader's Tenders to play the PTR. I am out of Trader's Tenders. It all comes back to that. The swimsuit is a must-have for summer fun, but I have it from last year. So
Yeah, that's
Give me one
really-
second.
Yep.
So I wanted to show you this real quick. So I didn't know that they leaked this, right? I don't know if you can see this really easily.
Yeah.
So apparently
Information.
next month is going to be Forsaken Memories, and
But these are
I-
deceptive because burning hearts for this one, like I get the burning, but where's the hearts? You know?
There's no hearts.
Yeah, there's no hearts, so this is kind of deceptive.
yeah, but Critter Country makes sense. Fair Games makes sense. Sparkle and Flare makes sense.
I don't know.
I don't know what forward progression even means, but whatever.
Yeah.
The hearts are the swimsuits.
Either or is kind of confusing too. Like, what's either or?
Yeah, either or.
Okay,
Yeah,
Forsaken stuff is cool though. I dig Forsaken
Do you
stuff.
think we're gonna get
Yeah.
Sylvanas with no shoes on?
I mean, they already
No.
dropped the Sylvanas outfit, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, they just throw some skulls on some
Well, they might bring it back
axes,
so you can buy it
spears.
with it, since you might have not gotten it.
That's still frozen for me because it's so expensive. But I'm like, and none of my characters will wear it, but it's cool as fuck. So I do want it at some point. But yeah, no, great stuff. This is they always hit with the trading post. Even when they don't hit, I still feel good because I'm like, oh, I can save my coins this month. You know, so
Okay. Well,
Good
there's
stuff.
one last thing I wanted to talk about. I won't drive it
Wait.
too far home, but it'll be my closing thought. Ian Hazakostas went to, I think it was like Finland or something. Sorry, Sweden. And he did a presentation on 20 years of World of Warcraft, meeting players where they are. I cannot stress that I think everyone that has a strong opinion about anything in this game should watch this presentation. It wasn't necessarily eye-opening to me because I feel like this is something I always advocate for on this podcast. Lithian, have you watched this yet?
No,
No?
I haven't watched it.
All right, so it's on YouTube. Nordic Games is the channel, and I'll put a link to it in the description.
wait, can I
But-
shout out a video? Or are you
yeah,
gonna keep talking?
Am I gonna keep talking? I don't know. Was I in the middle of a sentence? Maybe.
I thought you were done
Anyways,
with this one.
No. So Scrap, just to give you some context, because I don't think you're
Yeah.
gonna watch it because you never watch anything.
No,
right?
I'm not gonna watch this.
He talks about like the dilemma of desired path. So I'll see if I can get a picture of it.
It's like a game design sort of talk.
Yeah, so like the idea is like, hey,
Cool.
I want to build a path through this park, and what ends up happening is, well, the players actually want to. Oops, Jesus, I just lost my thing.
The players will walk somewhere.
Yeah, the players want to get to pause. Here we go. The players want to get to this corner, and what ends up happening is they walk over the grass, they kill the grass. So you go, no, fuck you, I'm gonna put a bench, and then you put put grass back. Nope, still gonna get around it. Again, this is like. I'm sure this is 101 for them over there at Blizzard nowadays, but he talks about the fact that like we need to stop trying to force players into a direction and just let them naturally guide us, and then we adapt to it, which is I think reflecting a lot of the decisions they've been making lately. But he talks also about the fact, let me see if I can get a picture. I think actually it's in this right here. Yeah, he talks about how like if you compare Dragon Soul and the DPS discrepancies between the top and the bottom, and then today's, DPS, he goes like, right now, if you were to say back in Dragon Soul, there was a 30% DPS difference between the bottom and the top. And today it's down to like 4% or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yet, do you think the people at the bottom are any less or more happy about being at the bottom? No, they
You know
don't
what,
give a
Frank?
shit.
The chart looks the same though, and all I see is visual brain. It's like, oh, that's 30% different. It's like, oh, but like the difference in actual damage is like 5%. It's like,
He
Ooh.
he literally talks about it. He goes like, we are closer than we ever have been, but do you think the player base cares? No, they don't fucking care.
That's what I'm saying.
Right?
I don't care. I feel bad.
It is such an insightful, and again, like I feel that I've been trying to get to this discovery on my own because I'm so interested in it. But for those of you out there that like, Technique is the person who needs to watch this, right? He's the first person to say like, no, they're idiots and they're so stupid. What are they doing? And they're always wrong, right? It is such a good video. I highly recommend it. Max did a reaction video to it on his stream. If you want to go find that, that's also, because he essentially says like, yeah, this is all right. This is all true. Only confirming that like, hopefully they're on the right track with their design philosophy, but I highly recommend it for you. So that's my closing thoughts for the day.
Not to be a Technique, but it does strike confidence that they got a guy like this on their team who's like, hey, I know about game design. Okay, cool, good. Because I was worried there for a second, like.
That's the same guy who's been doing it since like.
He's doing a great job. I think he's doing good.
But Holly Longdale, she can go fuck herself.
Yeah, Holly Longdale should take notes. Wait, I want to shout a video.
All right, what's closing thoughts?
Jimmy's video of his hardcore WoW. I haven't watched it yet, but I have been loving his OnlyFans. Like, if you haven't watched it, I think his YouTube name is just Jimmy.
Jimmy with the one instead of the I.
Yeah, Jimmy with a one instead of a Y. Even if you're not huge into hardcore, he presents the video in a very fun way. Like, I feel like even if you don't play WoW, you would like it. Of course,
we talked about him before on the
We did, yeah. But he just released like an hour-long. I don't know if this is the finale or what of his OnlyFans journey. But based on like the axe he put on the front, he's probably hitting around level 40 and stuff in it.
So okay, I'll give you a little spoiler.
Don't spoil it. Spoil it a little bit.
A little bit. He meets some of the he meets Soda Poppin', like the
cool. Yeah, he's in the guild.
He does Nomergon with him, and then someone who I think is friends with the Asmongold, which was like okay. He's a really really popular and high. I don't remember his name, but like McFadden or something like that. He says like, hey man, you need to get your warrior axe, you just turned level 30, and shows him what he has to do. And I
remember helping Technique do it. It's not easy. It's involved.
Well, it took a ton of time, it looks like.
Yeah, you had to grind out the elemental juices and stuff.
Well, no, the part that was like so entertaining was when he had to kill the elemental, because you can only kill it by yourself. And so the guy showed him like how you do it because it can't swim. And anyways, what turns into a very stressful moment gets funny because he puts like music to it, and then it's kind of like Benny Hill, like and again, he does such a good job of kind of framing the insanity of OnlyFans.
Yeah, and the insanity of hardcore WoW as somebody who's never played it. Like he's coming in to play it for the first time as hardcore, where like everybody is telling him what to do and how to do it, and he's like kind of it's very enjoyable
and entertaining to say the least. He did a really good video of just like playing WoW for the first time way back when. Again, I think we referred to it on this podcast before, but I agree with you. That was a great video. I love enjoying it.
And I'm mainly watching for Dr. Bones. I love Dr. Bones. He's just like one of his buds he's playing with. He puts on a voice randomly. Like it's good time. So if you have a even like passing interest in hardcore classic,
even if you don't, I don't, and I loved it.
Yeah, Frank does it, and or if you just like watching a YouTube video that's like a really fun hour-long romp that's very well produced and tells a good story.
Did you know that OnlyFans every Sunday, I think it was, they had to like do like a lottery system, and then they'd give gear out to each race, like, so in his case he's undead, and then like every Sunday they had a meeting in Brill for the undead players, and he said he's like it's like listening to 50 people who are the main character argue with each other why they are the most main character,
because they're all content creators.
So and then he plays a meeting, and it's just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, no, like it's crazy. Like I have this problem as like I'm an artist in a field where it's like everybody's kind of like has to be really confident to like sell your work, so everybody's kind of an asshole. I feel like it's the same with content creators. Like they're used to being the main character of their own story. In a lot of cases, like they're RPing that they are, right? And then it's like that kind of clashes. So it's kind of fun.
Yeah, it's a really good video. All right, we've given the other two enough time to come up with something helpful or important. So
trying so hard.
All right, well, I'll give you a little more time, Lithian. Last.
If you've made it this far into the podcast,
it's no longer than any other one, man. What are you talking about?
We just hit 2 hours. It's not that deep.
I'm just saying I appreciate you. But no, I don't watch. I mean, I browse Twitch. I browse YouTube. I don't really watch or get into a lot of the streamer stuff, so I don't have
Look,
I
what
don't
are you
have
talking about?
anything
You're soon going to
amazing.
be streaming alongside me with the
I
co-hosts stream
dude,
together.
I got OBS. I got OBS reinstalled. I got it going. I got it set up. So be on the lookout.
All right. What
That's
day are
all
we
I'll
going to
say.
do pushing, Scrap?
Oh,
Well, I guess
This week?
Lithium, what day are we going to do pushing? It's more up to you.
I
it's
don't
more
know.
up to his
I
wife.
don't know. No. I got some stuff going on this weekend, but I'll be around.
Sunday
Just
night
let me.
would be good for me.
What'd you
Actually,
say? Did you say-
Saturday night.
Don't Sunday night. I can't. I
Okay,
can't.
Saturday night could be good for
Saturday
me.
night,
all right.
yes.
Anyways, my point is keep an eye out.
Yeah.
Twitch.tv/MDLFrank. We'll do a MDL stream where we will put
Yeah.
all our cameras
Yeah.
up. Scrap, you'll finally get your
Get
shit together.
Scrap. Yeah,
Only
get
if you
Scrap
can-
stuff together.
Only if
and
you
we'll
can
figure it out.
remote into my computer
I
to do it for me.
I
'cause-
really wish I
Oh
had
my
your
God.
camera scrap for the horrific visions. It would have
Oh,
been like
yeah,
us
it would
Brady
be
bunching,
insane.
looking like mean as shit to each other.
You should
Oh
see
my
me like
God.
I'm fighting for my life,
Did
like
you
getting
see-
stuck in your trail.
The problem is when Scrap's doing horrific visions and she's failing, she's like laughing the whole time. She doesn't care.
Yeah, no, I don't-
She
I don't
wouldn't
get
have a
butthurt
mad
very
look on her
easily.
face.
No,
You-
I get
you-
like
I
this.
woke
Yeah,
my wife
Frank,
up
you,
because
you're
I
like a
screamed, "Scrap!" Like, what are you
You look-
doing?
you get that like you look like Bert from Bert and Ernie, like like your face and stuff.
Yeah,
You get mad. Yeah.
All right,
All right,
Oscar,
I-
you've been given enough time.
Oh god, I got nothing. I had something earlier today, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna have that be my final thoughts thing later, and I completely
Dude,
forgot what it was. so.
you can see like an hour ago, I was looking through my phone. I remember watching Max. I don't think it was the podcast, but he was like maybe doing a video with Dratnos or something, and I was just like, oh my god, there's so many good things to talk about. I thought I wrote notes down. I have them nowhere. I don't know what the fuck is going on with my life anymore.
Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Good
You don't
stuff,
have any
Io.
life. You don't have any life. Hey, are you excited about getting your Switch too?
Yeah, I wasn't planning on getting one. I was like, there's nothing really coming out. I'm not going to. And then it turns out I knew someone who was planning on scalping because he hates kids, and
Yeah.
realized
I'll point
that
out
Can't
that
believe
in the
you
line
do.
last night at Best Buy, there was one kid and like 200 adults.
yeah.
Okay.
They were buying it for their kids.
No,
Yeah,
not
they're
a
buying
it
single
for
one of
their
them
kids.
was.
I figured.
They go to Best Buy by themselves. They're buying it for their
Bunch
kids.
of
Frank.
nerds.
No, they
Scalp
were not.
it.
I can promise
Frank's-
you, there were all the crowd of people. I was on Discord with Shawnee and Haywire, just like while sitting in line, and I could have sworn that if I just said anything WoW related, 70% of them would all go like, "Oh, do you play WoW?" Like that's the crowd
Probably.
it was.
Frank, are you
Um,
selling it to IO at retail at least?
Yeah,
or are you
yeah.
taking
No,
it
no.
upcharge?
I was
Okay.
only
It's a
going to
markup.
scalp it. I was only going to scalp it if it was like insane, like they're paying $900 to $1,000 because I just wanted to pay for mine. I was like, yeah, hell yeah. But
Yeah, don't blame me if
I
you're
wasn't
able
going to go
get
through
them
all
or
the
not.
effort if I'm only going to make $50 off. It's not worth it.
Yeah, I figured.
Especially since
you
eBay
had
will
them.
get it.
If you're just gonna return them, screw it. I'll just,
Yeah,
I'll just
fuck
take
it.
the chance.
As
and
long
go in
if
here,
you're willing to
fuck it.
pay for the shipping and all that, it's going to be a wash for me. I'm more than happy to give you your Switch. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy that it seems like people aren't having a hard time getting them. That's awesome. It sucks when that stuff comes out and people
yeah,
have to wait or so.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, all right.
Might
Well,
play some Mario Kart with them, I guess.
dude, fuck yeah, Mario Kart Mondays. They'll be coming back
Sorry,
soon.
Mondays.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
twitch.tv/MDL Frank. Mario Kart Mondays. They're coming back. All right. With that note, I love you all. We might not have an episode for a couple weeks again because, who knows? Actually, I should say we'll probably have an 11.2 announcement soon. We'll probably have to come back for that.
Depends. I got some beaching coming up, so we'll see. You can do it
Okay.
without me though.
No, you can bring your
Yeah,
laptop.
I'm not bringing my laptop to the beach. It's no electronics, dude.
If we do it without Scrap, this
Unplugged.
episode would be like an hour long at the
Hey, y'all,
most.
15-minute episode today. Let's go.
I would.
Yeah.
That would be interesting to try one time just to see what.
I
it'd
would
be
say like we've mixed up the cast a lot, but I've been on it every time.
Scrap,
Obviously,
you're
you
the
have to be on
Stephen A.
it.
Smith of our podcast.
I don't know who that is, but
Oh my
obviously, Frank, you have
gosh.
to be on it because you do all the
You're the
work in
Ronaldo
the
of our
podcast.
podcast.
Yeah,
I'm
it
the
wouldn't happen
Ronaldo.
because I
I-
literally am
Yeah.
99% of the production team.
But I feel like you could do one without me. I mean, you might be surprised. Like it might pull out something
Pull out.
interesting.
Yeah, we're
I'm just
gonna-
saying it might
Never mind.
might create something interesting. You don't know without me one time. What if people love it? They're like, thank God they got that yappy bitch off of that shit.
Nathan,
You know?
can you
Like-
run this through AI and tell us what percent of the podcast was Scrap talking versus the rest of us?
Oh yeah, dude, 100%. It's gonna be 95% scrap yapping, and the rest of us kind of bickering.
All right. Well,
An
maybe
episode
we'll
without
bicker.
me.
Maybe we'll bicker with. Okay, we can talk about this off. All right. Love you all. Thank you for watching. We'll see you later.
Okay, bye.
Yep.